set up. Give me a second. There we go. There's that. Cool. Hey. No one's here right now, okay. Gonna hang on this screen for a bit, I guess. Just monitor a couple things real quick. Alright, that looks fine. Alright. Well, I guess I may as well just get started. No, I can't. Not yet. Not until Trey gets here. I don't want him to miss anything. Cal's here, but not active. Probably AFK and just kind of left it on mine. Curious what this is, this chapel. Still not even done with chapter 1 yet, wow. Here's the Cat's Collar, Baruthiel. Purchase and sale agreement, Marianne McCullough. Rose. So good. So good. Look at that creepy smile. The creepy smile is so good. Back in a second. I'm gonna put it on intermission real quick. Not sure if chat's not updating or what, but it doesn't look like anyone's here right now. May as well just get started and then whatever you missed, Trey, you can just catch on the VOD, I guess. You'll have heard that on the VOD anyway. Damn it, I'm kind of disoriented. Alright, let's just get this started then. A buzzing sensation jolts me awake. Also, it's still 5. My body still wants us to sleep, to forget what I heard, what I saw last night. But it's there, nudging, prodding at me. Slowly, I become aware of how awkward my position is, and the aches that accompany sleeping in a curled-up position the night before. If I even slept at all. The memories are impossible not to forget now that Rose is gone. They say it's easier when you say it out loud. Instead, the words weigh heavier on me each time. She's gone. Gone because of me. Gone because of one letter I was too curious to look at. I should have been more careful. I should have just kept my mouth shut. I should have destroyed it before anyone else had gotten involved. I should have... The notification light on my laptop blinks incessantly, mockingly when I look at it, as if it's calling me back to a sense of normalcy. I check it nevertheless, out of habit more than anything. To all BRC employees, in light of the recent events, okay, there will be an all-staff emergency meeting from 1 p.m. to 2 p.m. Attendance is a must. Company changes, new hierarchy, and policies will all be discussed during the meeting. Everyone is expected to bring a copy of their own attendance logs and sales reports for the last 6 months to be submitted to your respective managers for review. We are expecting everyone's cooperation. Thank you, Joanne Ellis Schultz, BRC HR Manager. If this were one of those typical days, I'd happily comply and get myself to our office. Today my limbs just feel heavy. On one hand, going will keep me busy, take my mind elsewhere. On the other, the place in itself is a stark reminder of what my own fears had cost me. I should just go to work or stay at home. She should go to work. It's mandatory, can't get her fired. Moping won't get me anywhere. This is just like one of those things, isn't it? You deal with it with a smile no matter how bad things get and hope for the best. Although my whole body feels like lead and my limbs are sore, I push myself away from the chair and head for the shower. The letter I dropped on the floor opened last night flutters open as I pass by, unfolding for no one else but me to see. Every word written on it glares back at me. They sneer. They ridicule. Like living beings fully aware of what they've done. With a huff, I pick it up and shove it in my bag, perhaps with more anger and frustration than I'm used to showing. This, too, I'll deal with. Somehow I'll find a way and make things right. I have to. Before it takes more people from me. Even if I must do it on my own. Papers rustling, telephones ringing, feet shuffling. Overall, today looks like a typical working day at Briar Realty Corporation. Except it isn't. The air is thick with tension and unspoken questions. No doubt everyone present has already heard about Rose. If they missed last night's report, they'd likely see it in the morning news, in the papers, or in various news sites on the internet. Everywhere is a bitter reminder. In fact, everyone's giving me a wide berth, as though the mere mention of Rose would be enough to trigger something in me. It's appreciated, but it only serves to create a bigger hole in the place Rose has left. After lunch, my boss calls for a meeting. I don't have to look up for my work to know what it is about. He's in a strange, pensive mood today, probably out of respect for a dead colleague. Oddly, I'd appreciate it more if he just shouted at me today. Anything is better.
I'm sure you've all heard of what happened to Miss Cooper. She was a valued member of our team and she will be missed. There's no date for a funeral yet, but those who wish to attend, kindly speak with your respective supervisors. By the way, has anyone heard about our still AWOL staff? None? HR, you know what to do. Santos, a word? In my office?
At the end of it, I'd been given the entirety of Rose's workload, including finalizing the rights papers, and have been promised an ample compensation for my efforts. I think he's expecting me to be happy about it. Instead, I immerse myself in my work. I have to, anyway, if I want to forget. Time flies when you do, and by the time I give notice, it's already late. Everyone's already gone, leaving me in the company of a radio and a member of our janitorial staff. I don't even know his name. Rose likely does. She remembers people easily like that.
The Luxbon Police Department continues its search for the following reported missing people.
The radio blares one name after another. Hold on a second. Missing? Aren't they? Still, I have to check. Frantic, I turn back to my desktop. The loud tapping of my fingers against the keys fills the office for the better part of my shift as I look through everything. The background around the place, its history from the current owners, and list of employees hired under BRC. And I'm right. Of course I am. BRC may have a lot of staff, they may have a lot of agents hired, but I don't remember those names anywhere. After all, they're also part of the crew who worked with us in preparing the mansion for the open house. Then the letters? No, that can't be. I hope it's not what I'm thinking.
But Rose is...
Something snaps into place in the fraction of a moment. These people, Rose, the letter...
I need to... No, if it's like this, they still won't believe me. I have to make sure of it first.
Evidence doesn't lie. That's what Ash often says, right? If I have proof, then maybe... I don't want to get my hopes up yet, but maybe there's still a way I can save them. I can save them. The letter, my phone, papers, anything that will be useful. I grab all of them and stuff them in my bag. I can't stay here. There's something I need to do. There's something those people should... The noise cuts through the room, cuts sharply through the room, stopping my hand short of cramming a pen into my bag.
Hello? Anyone there?
Someone must have left their printer open again. I may be in a hurry, but if I don't turn it off, another person's certainly going to have a fit tomorrow over wasted company resources. Most of the time, it's Rose who does the nagging, but... The clicking of my pen in my hand is a welcome distraction as I search for the said object. Bet she's gonna say help me. Each stride my feet takes also echoes throughout the empty workplace. I've lost sight of the janitor minutes ago, and with me being the only one left, tapping on my feet against the wooden floor is something I soon learn to appreciate. It doesn't take me long to find it. By the time I turn it off, 5 pages are already strewn about on the ground, paper tray also having been left ajar. Sighing, I pick up each of it to put someplace proper. But the page that greets me next makes my blood run cold. The chill that makes its way up my spine is as numbing as that day in the attic. The sheets crinkle under my tense grip. All I can hear is my breathing as it rasps through my gritted teeth. But before I can even gather myself, take the first steps out of here, total darkness suddenly envelops me. I just realized that there are 5 copies of that printed. And she was supposed to give out 5. That makes even more sense, okay. And it doesn't have that send this to 5 people at the bottom either, so... Here she is. And as if hearing every horrid thought running inside my head right now, something snaps. A soft creak, grating through the thin veil of stillness that has descended in the room. Every muscle, every bone in my body goes rigid at the sound. Familiar. So familiar now. Yet my own traitorous curiosity still presses me to take a careful peek over the cubicle's wall. I'm gonna save real quick. It's her. Standing in the only exit of the office, albeit facing away from me. She doesn't even need for me to turn around for me to notice the same misshapen face, tattered clothes, and unsightly gait. The same person in the attic. I take a step back, the pen I'm holding slips from my hand, and her entire head turns. A scream almost escapes my mouth, and I duck under my table as quickly as I can. My heart is pounding against my chest. I can hear the bone-chilling sounds of her walk, the weird clicking that follows her, and telltale squelch of something wet as she walks towards me. Nearer and nearer. The sounds are slowly getting louder. The only thing keeping the whimper from escaping me is my hand as it covers my mouth. Someone, please save me. Anyone. I close my eyes, monstering a constant, continuous stream of prayers, all while attempting to steady my own breathing. Please don't let her near me, or hear me. I'm dead. Yeah, I'm dead.
Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. Amen.
When the last lines of my prayer have left me, all that remains is a hush. None of her footsteps, nor those chilling sounds she makes. Only silence. Is it safe? Another second passes, and when nothing comes... What? Come on.
Our Father, who...
Oh, come on, really? The seconds, minutes stretch out before me agonizingly. Is she gone? Slowly I open my eyes to take a peek. I don't dare move or make a noise. In the face of such terror, I can only beg, let out silent pleas to whoever is there. Please, please don't let her notice. I want to live. Ha! Huh. Fun. Yep. Wow, my actions towards Luke in the beginning have actually made Hannah's opinion of Luke go way down. Interesting. Either that or that's just how they start. Hannah Wright, Nee Evans. Or Nye, Nil, I don't care. So it looks like this would be the order we play as people in, if anything. Of the Luxborn upper classes, Hannah is used to living a life of luxury. Absent parents made her crave for attention, though, something she gained from her private tutors and nannies instead. It was never enough, however. She studied hard in order to make her parents proud, going into business so that she could work alongside them. The challenge in her otherwise privileged life was certainly a thrill for her, at the very least. She had many suitors, dating different men and women. But it was through work that she met Luke. It was love at first sight for her. Upon her parents' death, Luke proposed to her. That was the move that led to the merging of the Wright Enterprise and Evans Incorporated and her subsequent retirement. Their 7-year marriage is strained, but Hannah tries her best to make it work. Trey's now hosting. Is he here? Not yet. Hey, Commander Root. How you doing? I haven't seen you in chat yet. What's going on? She's 31. Isabella's 26. Okay. Anglican makes sense. Roman Catholic also makes sense. It's far too easy to get them to pay attention. Enraptured. They hang on to my every word and follow my every move. All of it would have been stifling if they had not grown so used to such stares. Most are respectful, some are hostile if we are honest. And a few are downright inappropriate. After all, I am...
Hannah Wright!
There's a moment of agitation as a familiar but less than welcome face approaches me with a suggestive smirk on his face. Of course, I have to keep a benevolent smile and greet him as I greet any good friend. After all, this man can turn heads, being famous in his own right.
Officer Lee! What a pleasant surprise. I didn't think you'd have the time to attend tonight's party.
He is more than Luke's friend. He's more Luke's friend than mine, really, and I'm quite sure I only invited his wife. Much like I am only friends with the Chief Inspector because of Luke, Luke is only friends with Rochelle because of me. Unlike how I treated Lee, however, Luke never hid his animosity for the Lee matriarch. It was an odd sort of friendship where we would have awkward double dates. I don't even recall his first name. It started with an N, I think. I might be wrong. Aside from being Chief Inspector of Luxborn Police, his wife, Rochelle Lee Nevance, owns a General Electronics company. Fridges and freezers, mostly.
Oh, I always have time for my favorite socialite couple. Might I say, you look positively ravishing tonight. I see the husband isn't with ya.
The way he eyes me up is enough to make my skin crawl. I just wish Luke is here to fend off the more unseemly of our peers. You know the ones. Men who are just a bit too friendly, staring too long at my assets and getting close just because my cousin's husband is not here. And I think they have the gall to do this at my own party. I'll stop with the fake British. In my own house, I might add, if I might add. But like any high society woman worth her salt, I know how to handle it with grace and dignity.
I suppose you are looking pleasant as well. Luke's busy with work, unfortunately.
Got Dolphin Joe was set up. One of the other guys here, actually, I think. I think I saw that name on the list, yeah. How you doing?
Rochelle isn't here?
You missed a lot, dude. You'll have to go check the VOD, because I finished Chapter 1 and now I'm playing as Hannah for Chapter 2. I want to raise my headset, my volume a bit. Okay. That's as high as it'll go now, so how does that sound?
Shame. I do hope he isn't causing you much trouble.
Better? Okay.
That husband of yours can be a bit daft sometimes, acting like he's still some young bachelor. The wife sends her regards and her apologies, but something came up with her doctor and she needed to attend to it. You know her, being pregnant and all.
We make small talk. Rather, I'm forced to do so, as he would not leave my side after finding his place there. Much to my chagrin, I've been extricated from the few who flock in hopes of flattering, for I can tolerate them far better than Lee. He's a nice enough person, and I adore his wife, who is obviously the brains behind the two. But there is something unsettling about him. I do not trust him as much as I want to. So yeah, we're playing as Hannah now. After what happened at the end of Chapter 1 with Isabella. And it's very, like, from this, for some reason, Luke already starts below where he should be. Yes, actually, it is. Because timeline-wise, I think we're actually before all of that happened. So... He regaled to me the tales of the Luxborn Police Department, a different affair to the usual gossip I am privy to, and, though I am loath to admit, is interesting nonetheless. I expect the topic of business to die out quickly, which would be understandable enough due to the confidential nature of his work. Damn, I'm still dropping frames. Oh well. But oh boy was I wrong.
So, we're in civvies, I steal and drive off with one of the police mobiles, right? In the mirror, I see the mutant chasing on foot and screaming about theft. The look on his face was priceless when I parked in the garage.
Oh my. You made him chase you all the way home for a prank. What did Rochelle have to say about that?
Rochelle has a strange love and hate affair with Lee. He is a married man who did not grow up past his early 20s, judging by the way he acts. Surprisingly enough, they've been married for a good 20 years. A lifetime if you compare it to my marriage of 7 years with Luke. I, on the other hand, well, Luke is no Lee. I should be happy about that, I suppose. Although my darling did have his moments.
The wife pulled my ear and gave me a good talking to, though. Besides, we live in a flat a block away, so it wasn't much of a grand chase.
Weren't you living in a house near the countryside?
Moved for work, you know. Or you probably don't.
No, I don't. But a flat in downtown? I suppose if that's what you like.
Oh, it's horrid. Hate that tiny place, no matter how convenient it can be for work. 55 square yards are not enough when you need to get away from the wife.
165 square feet? That's not too bad.
I wouldn't mind a place away from the city. Even started looking at the ads. I spied an interesting lot, actually. Heard it was finally put up for sale, or that something mansion. You know the one with all the ghost stories.
Yep, this is totally time travel. This happens way before the day that they meet him at the Briar, right here. No, actually, no, that would have been the 21st. So this happens either on the 17th or the 18th. I know what he's talking about. There are really only a few urban legends around here. It's...
The Ermagerd Mansion?
Ha! Nice. She did it too, dude.
That's the one. Worthy of a king it is. I'd buy it myself, but Rochelle would only gripe if I brought it up to her. Not to mention all the expenses a place like that will be a real fixer-upper. You also have to find someone willing to work there with how superstitious people can be.
If it becomes a problem, just hire someone to do an exorcism.
Actually, I do know of someone who could be up to the task. You remember the Ludgates party at their Christchurch summer residence?
Of course. It was an excellent soiree. Everything was so classy, too. Such good taste.
So, since you're here now, I'm wondering if you can actually tell me this. I assume that this is a phrase that means, like, former name was this. Like, it says right here, the Wright Enterprise and Evans Incorporated. I assume that Evans was her family. So her name was Hannah Evans, not Hannah Wright. I assume that's Nay, based on the soiree pronunciation?
Oh, that place was a pigsty until they hired out this interior designer and they turned it into a bloody palace. She worked for the Exodus for their apartment in Soho too, and they recommended her when we were looking up pieces for our beach house in Porto Colom. I think I have a business card right. No, I must have left it in my other jacket. Anyway, she's called, what's her name? McCullough, Marianne, I believe, yes. But truly, if anyone were to get that place in McCullough, well, they'd be the envy and the talk of the town.
Well, if you put it that way, I might just snatch it up for myself.
What, his voice doesn't match the face? He does look a bit younger than he should. Supposedly he's in his 40s, so... Or at least very late 30s. He's been married to his wife, apparently, for 20 years. And let's assume that... No to him being the one you're talking about, or no to his voice not matching the face? What time period is this? I believe it's the 80s. Supposedly, I'm not sure. It doesn't say. It does not say. So, hi Dolphin Joa. Joa or Joe? Here, let me scroll back up though. That's smart, actually. Yeah, it kind of is. He's a married man who did not grow past his early 20s, judging by the way he acts. Surprisingly enough, they've been married for a good 20 years. So at the very least, he's above 30. And probably above 38. So, Joe, okay.
This place was starting to feel a bit small lately anyway.
Sure, a 3-story penthouse may not fit the definition of small for some people. Okay, maybe a lot of people. But it isn't big enough to have grand parties in. I like her less and less. As it is, I only invited about 30 people to this one, and it already feels cramped in here. It certainly would be nice if I didn't have to ride an elevator up and down several floors before I can get anywhere as well. What do they do with the average married age is between 18 and 23, so it'd be late 30s to early 40s. Still, what the hell do they do with the models? Yeah, I agree. Again, this game looks weird. The art isn't great. And I explained why. It's because they used that 2D thing, Live 2D. It's very obvious based on seeing other Live 2D things that that's what they're running it on. So... all Luke's words and not mine. Besides, I have been looking for a good anniversary gift. Luke might like this one. Where is he, anyway? Luke is dressed to the nines, as he usually is, and he looks ready for whatever the day will throw at him. I can't help but naturally kind of go into a borderline fake British with this character, just because it feels like I should. His butler and valet wait at his side, just in case he isn't as ready as he looks. Oh sure, that is normal. What is confusing me is that he's on his way out of the penthouse, concerning we won't have to go anywhere until much later.
Where are you going?
I am to attend the Triad Autumn Tasting. I do believe I informed you of this 2 weeks ago.
Damn it. Now I can't help but think, but pictures sell. I don't mind the language, I just won't read it out. Autumn Tasting. I do believe I informed you this 2 weeks ago. Yeah, now I'm thinking of, sell at a wine tasting, that'd be funny as hell. I think that'd be hilarious.
Yes. And might I remind you that I had stricken that off your schedule? Because 1, the doctor told you to stop consuming so much alcohol. And 2, I informed you a few days ago about the open house we are going to attend in its place. I've even found this marvelous interior designer, Mary Ann McCullough.
It's 1 word, not 2, but oh well.
It's a 3.5-hour drive to Cardiff. I don't have time for this. This is like that little party you threw all over again. You don't inform me of it, and you expect me to stay and be a gracious host when I have business elsewhere.
Oh man, I totally heard talk. It's just normal talking voice for a second there. Right at that elsewhere, that just sounded like talking normal.
This is like that little party you threw all over again. You don't inform me of it, and you expect me to stay and be a gracious host when I have business elsewhere.
Yeah, that's totally him.
You know how I operate, Hana. Unless this was penciled in, I am sticking to my schedule.
If I may intrude, the madam is correct. Your physician did insist you moderate your drinking, unless you wish to incur acute pancreatitis.
Wow, that is the most fake German accent. Or Dutch or whatever. That's very clearly fake.
And you did have this open house penciled in last Wednesday morning.
Bullocks, I don't remember doing so.
Well, you did. While very hungover, in fact.
He did. Moaned about me being too loud, but gave in after some pushing. Perhaps that was a bit too cruel and manipulative of me, but...
Whose side are you on?
Come on, Luke. You promised we'd do whatever I want this weekend.
Gordon Bennett, fine. I am giving this house tour of yours a chance.
What? I was not expecting that of all things in a game that uses profanity pretty loosely. Alright. I have no idea how that went even... Okay, moving on.
But if it proves to be a waste of time, I am going to Cardiff, and you are going to take a cab home. Are we clear?
It's just a bit of husband and wife tit for tat. Isn't it? All couples have their arguments. God.D? What? No, I've actually heard that before, though. Which is the weird part, because I thought it was related to something totally different that I would not expect that the people who made this game would know about. I'm kind of trying to move on, but what do you mean by Godot D or whatever? Oh, really? Huh. I didn't know that. Once the honeymoon phase is over, as they seem to call it, reality sets in that you and your partner may not always see eye to eye. Perhaps it has been the years. God dot. Huh. Weird. 7 of them is nothing to scoff at.
I just cannot bloody believe I agreed to this. I was really looking forward to the triad tasting.
Though sometimes I do think it's something a bit more than simple disagreements, and I have to stop myself from wondering where we went wrong.
There's always the triad Christmas tasting in Manchester next month, and that'll only be an hour-and-a-half drive.
Have I been neglectful? Have I offended? Have I acted shamefully?
Yes, but Cardiff...
Certainly, any problem can be discussed. As long as he doesn't turn me away.
Well, there goes my good mood.
See what I mean? Last time you said you didn't trust her? Now that we can see her innermost thoughts, she is super insecure.
Are you happy now, Hana?
Why must he treat me this way? I think I want to do remain silent. I don't want to make him angrier. What do you think, Trey? Insecurity can often manifest in rage and aggravation. Yeah. Yeah. Which is what she showed. Always defend, but that's just you. See, I want to try to repair their relationship, though. You know? Because I feel legitimately bad for Hannah. I don't feel bad for Luke because he's an asshole, but... Hannah... Unless the fight is superfluous. This is kind of a superfluous fight, to be honest. I think I'm going to do Remain Silent. I think that's the better choice here. No, that made it worse. Damn it. I am happy. And I'm sure he will be too, once he gets over this little upset. There's no point in aggravating him anymore, so I keep myself from commenting on the issue any further. That's what I thought. I thought that would work. I thought that kind of keep it to saying, look, as an alpha, he needs conflict. I guess. A sweet smile and a bowed head, no need to provoke. That is how I cope. Yeah, I get that information now.
So, when do we leave? Where are we even going?
We're scheduled to leave after lunch for the Ermengarde Mansion. Das ist ja interessant. It's just Deutsch name. Is that infamous mansion, yeah? I have seen it from afar. It's a huge property. Very beautiful if it wasn't left abandoned. Certainly a house befitting lords and ladies of the land.
A house good enough for nobles, huh? It is well known then? I guess that doesn't make it a total waste of time.
Our old sous chef mentioned going there for Halloween last year. We've not seen him since. Not that I mind. He made terrible pumpkin soup.
I smile even as they turn their backs to me. The ride of the mansion is quiet, with Luke having stared out the window the whole way, not paying attention to anything around him. Meanwhile, I am conflicted. I don't know if I should apologize for changing his plans like that. I keep slipping into it. I can't help it. But by the time we arrive at the mansion and I see his eyes light up in genuine interest, apologizing is the last thing on my mind. The whole affair with the Ermengarde mansion is certainly an interesting experience. This is right after... This is the room that they ended up seeing the letter in. With Isabella. I don't know if this is gonna show that scene or it's gonna just skip over it. The place had been renovated and restored by the owners of what they claim to be acceptable standards. The mansion itself looks like something befitting a fairy tale or a period piece. It is tastefully decorated, and with a little bit of love and attention, I'm sure it can be a place Luke and I can call home. You want something to pop out of nowhere? Do me a favor and watch the VOD after we're done here, because that happened. I actually got a jump scare even though I was totally expecting it. It just happened slightly later than I thought it would, which is what got me. So... And the number of other prospective buyers that have come from the powerful and wealthy of Luxburg certainly did not disappoint, marking this estate as prime property. Yay. The Lees are among the group who went with the Rose woman, and I saw a few other notable faces, although I did not really feel like mingling. But you wanted to scare Hannah. Actually, I got a game over earlier. Twice, actually, because that was not easy to do. Unfortunately for them, every one of them, the Wrights are interested in buying. Oops. Whoops. What's been bugging my mind, however, is that Isabel. What is her problem? I still don't quite understand what is happening. Yeah, this is around the time that they end up seeing the letter then. One moment, she's scrambling to give us the paperwork to finalize the sale. Then she is panicking over some sort of prank letter or another. The second thing on my mind is how touchy my darling husband is being towards the poor dear. I cannot even plaster a smile on my face, a horrid scowl taking its place. There's no way I could pretend nothing is wrong as I hum.
And I'm sure little Lily here would certainly appreciate it if you remove your pretty hands from her, darling.
It's a line that actually happened during her story. He is quick enough to retract his hand, which is all of the girl needs to, well, for lack of a better word, escape.
I think I need to step out for a while. I'll be back.
She looks totally different in this model than she does when she's in the corner. Her partner follows, shouting after her without hesitation. There's an awkward air among us as we are left in the wake of whatever that was. The others murmur and gossip with each other, speaking of the poor daft girl and telling a tale to whoever was not audience at the act in the first place. It doesn't take too long for the woman, Rose, to return and pull us aside into the study for what I rightfully assume is damage control. Luke looks the same. It's not perception, it's just the way that they did the corner models. Anna's looks really weird too, to be honest. Rose invites Marianne in too, hoping to apologize to her as well. She also saw the letter at the time. But the woman refuses, saying she is not one of her clients anyway. That leaves myself, Rose, and Luke. The last all too eager to make himself comfortable in a study he's no doubt already claimed as his own.
I can't apologize enough about what just happened. Please forgive Isabella. She's been under a lot of pressure lately. She's young and all those rumors about this being haunted just got to her head. And it must be this terrible heat too. Not a drop of rain for days now.
This happens on 21st. She died on the 23rd. So this is 2 days.
Oh, it's fine. The poor girl must feel so embarrassed about what she just did.
See what I mean? She looks very different here than she did when she was up front. So...
But I say, let bygones be bygones. After all, she's only a child.
She's only 5 years younger than you.
She looked, what, 19?
I shoot Luke an accusing look at those words. After all, he tried flirting with the girl. The nerve of him. Not only that Isabel girl, but Marianne and Rose, too. What kind of husband would think that that's even a remotely good idea to make moves on 3 different women while his wife stands there? The guy who doesn't clearly care about anyone but himself. I mean, I can't be the only one who notices that. Did he drink while I wasn't looking?
She's a bit older than that. But again, I apologize. And if there's any way I can make up for what just happened, just...
I know what you can do. Be a darling flower and get us one of those bottles you plan to serve.
Totally noticed, yep.
Pop it open.
We were planning on serving some champagne. I can get that.
That would be lovely. Much obliged.
Do you want a glass as well, Ms. Wright?
Oh no, I'm fine. I really shouldn't be drinking right now.
And Luke shouldn't be either. But right now, I'm just too tired for any sort of argument. I don't have the heart to scold him in public as well. I'm certainly not his mother. I just want to get this horrid day done with, go home and sleep. Perhaps I'll even have a strong cuppa before I head off to bed. I assume tea. Yes, that sounds nice. When Rose comes back with the champagne, I beckon her over. As I have told her partner before, I have every intent of acquiring this house. I might as well, even if I'm having second thoughts about getting it for Luke. The moment we, the Wrights, had expressed interest in this place, we've set eyes set on it. On us. If we don't buy it, that might be that might as well be the signal to have busybodies gossip about how we may or may not have lost our fortune. Regardless of the fact that it is false, image is everything when dealing with these people. These are the unspoken rules for people such as ourselves. Besides, I really did like the place. See, that's another thing. Hannah feels like she's pressured into this. You know, there's a lot of pressure on her shoulders. Luke feels like he doesn't give a damn about anything but drinking. Why, everything here is absolutely wonderful. Well, except for this ugly painting in the study. I wasn't expecting that. I was not expecting that. Sweet. It didn't jump me, but I was not expecting that. Huh. It looks like a bad fake of an Edvard Munch painting.
Here's the deal. I'm willing to pay 10% higher than your listing price. If anyone tries to outbid us, just add another 5%. I doubt anyone can, of course. Or, you know what? Just add 15% to the listing price, and we can sign all the paperwork now.
I guess, if that's what you want. That won't be any trouble. I don't have all the papers now. Didn't think this would be a quick sell. I'll have copies sent to you so you can look over them.
It's probably this painting I've been clicking on this whole time just to kind of keep my mouse in a not intrusive position. That's probably the one she was talking about, actually, now that I think about it.
And if you'd still like to finish the rest of the tour with Isabella's group, you're more than welcome to.
No, I think we're good here. We'd appreciate a private tour of the place a lot more, I think.
All right. Should I let Marianne in, then?
Marianne? Oh, right. She's been waiting outside the study this whole time, hasn't she? I'll need to have a little chat with her to move this little mansion project forward.
Please do.
There's a look of apprehension when the other woman enters the study. Yet, like a professional, I see the moment when she steels herself and masks her worry. Admirable.
We have this project, then?
Of course. Will you be needing anything from us?
Having the floor plans would be a great start, just so that I can look at them beforehand. And if you could tell me when you're available for a meeting so that I can include it in my calendar?
Oh, is a meeting really all that necessary, Marianne? I guess we can send Johans to help you out. You two can start by getting rid of this ugly painting.
A hush falls upon the room at my request.
What painting?
And lo and behold, the painting is gone. In its place, a mirror stands, which leaves me to look at my own confused expression.
Odd. Well, no matter.
You saw the letter, dear.
Back to the topic at hand. Marianne, dear, we are simply far too busy to meet up.
So did she. So did Luke. So did Rose. They all saw it in this specific moment. Or perhaps maybe I should free up the schedule. I'm sorry, this... I want to make people as happy as possible.
But I guess we can free up a day to meet with you.
Boom. There we go.
I don't really need another Maudlin Monday reading about Maury anyway. The book club can function without me for one day.
Actually, that was a pretty big jump. Interesting. Actually, it looks like... That's interesting to know. It looks like the plus and minuses all are the same distance. No matter what action you take, if it changes someone's relationship, it's always going to change the same amount, which would mean that there's how many ticks? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, probably 10? Neat. Good to know this kind of rating on a scale of 1 to 10, I guess.
What time shall we be seeing each other? How does lunch sound?
Besides, my house has a higher priority over the book club. Why, we can hold the next meeting in this place. Surely the beauty and grandeur of it all will inspire spirited and lively debates about whether modern-day writers could match up to the classics. I might as well clear up the rest of my week to handle whatever affairs buying this mansion requires of me. Wondering if it's possible to get 10 out of 10 with everyone with every character. Maybe? It's possible. Any social activity can be put off until the Ermengarde, or rather, the Wright Mansion's great debut. I'll have my fill of great parties and gatherings, especially when I organize them myself.
That sounds good. Although, with a project of this scope, we might need most of the day to tackle your concerns. A more thorough inspection of the place is also preferable.
Breakfast then! It's a date.
It's really not.
All right, Monday, 10 o'clock sharp. We'll see you then.
Actually, Marianne suggested that we meet at 9, but who is even awake at that unholy hour? People who go to school. Or if it's like, if you have 10 and 1, or it has to balance another character. Yeah, I understand what you're saying. I assume that there's a way for that to possibly happen, because supposedly, from the Kickstarter page when I saw, your actions determine individually who lives and who dies. And on top of that, the relationships actually matter for that as well. Like, there's going to be times that you aren't intentionally... Like, your character you're playing as is not... Their life's not in danger. One of the others probably would be. And depending on the relationship might make the results happen. Did you notice that? I noticed that with Isabel with their meeting. Marianne is interested in the other side. You mean, either bi or gay? Lesbian? Because I'm not sure, but it is possible, yeah. Not a big deal per se, but it's cute that they added in. Wouldn't that be the same side, not the other side? I was lucky enough to wake up this morning before Luke went all the way to Cardiff. We say our goodbyes, shake hands, and make it clear without outright saying that we now own this house. By the time we left the mansion grounds, sunset is almost upon us.
So, you really want to buy this place, then?
See what I mean? Look at him in the corner. Look at him in the corner, too. He looks completely different.
That's a bit of a big impulse buy, even coming from you. Not that I'm complaining.
Yeah, he looks way more evil in the corner. Especially that portrait. Just look at that.
Well, I'm glad you're not complaining like you usually do. It's a right and proper Christmas miracle, isn't it? Hannah has finally done something right.
I refuse to look at him, staring at the passing scenery instead.
Hey, Buttercup, what's with this cheek?
Rose, Lily, Mint. The nerve, Luke, the nerve!
Is that what this is about? One, that woman's name was Rose. And two, you know I don't mean a word of that empty flirting.
And it's still the principle of things, Luke.
Hey, they've been married for 7 years. Probably should be aware of that by this point. Dumbass.
I understand if you try to woo them to get what you want when it seems that I'm not looking. But I told you once before not to do it when I'm there.
Luke dealt with other women in the past to get what he wanted. Sometimes I have my doubts. I really want to believe that I am an exception. That he's not just using me like how he used those other girls. Wow. Yeah, wow was right. I just had the same reaction too, and I'm farther ahead than you were at the time where I said that. See what I mean about Hannah feeling very, very insecure? She definitely feels like she's borderline depressed, actually, I'd probably say. This is some dark depression that's like taking hold of her and making her doubt herself constantly. I'm having a hard time believing that now. And it isn't just the shameless flirting. There's something about that Marianne woman, as if Luke is familiar with her. The fact that she's marginally accepting the fact, just, no, yeah. As much as it shames me, it makes jealousy rear its ugly head. And not just that, it's... Yeah, she's got some sort of mental disorder. She's not healthy. She should get professional help. She's not going to, but she definitely needs it. I am, suffice to say, ticked off.
Really? I forfeit my trip to Cardiff for this, and you're still not happy.
God damn it, Taka. Also, that face is great.
Oh, trust me, Luke. I am very happy. Very happy that, for once, we are doing something that I want. Can you not see the smile on my face?
It is only when I let loose those words that the truth hits me like a slap on the face. And by the looks of it, seems to have the same effect on my dear, darling husband. It has always been Luke wants to do this and Luke wants to do that, hasn't it? I don't even remember on the last trip we went to, which was of my own choosing, without needing to get the man's approval. On the other hand, I was pulled along to every single expedition he wished to tackle, and I never objected. The rest of the ride home is spent ignoring each other, pretending the other doesn't exist. Arriving at our penthouse, my first order of business is to get to bed. Forget a hot bath and forget the tea. Yeah, I thought so. I just want to bury myself in blankets and forget everything in my slumber. It seems that Luke has the same idea in mind as he tags along behind me. But this is something I will not allow the moment I pass through the door.
Out.
What the bloody hell, woman? This is my bedroom too!
Luke stands, flabbergasted, as I deny him entry into our chambers. His pillows lie on the cold, tiled floors, away from the warmth of our soft down bed. Good on her. Yeah. Constantly asking what she wants to do, where to go, even when I have a mission. Basically, you're doing what you should be doing. Asking what would want to make the other person happy. This guy is not good at that. His pillows lie on the cold, tiled floors away from the warmth of our soft down bed, and my gaze promises him the same fate if he does not budge on this matter.
Don't even try to argue, because I am very cross with you, Luke Wright. You can take the second bedroom or the guest room if you wish, but I do not want to see you at all for the rest of the night.
Johans!
Our butler wanders over, a curious expression on his face. You mean completely and utterly blank? Okay. He doesn't quite hurry, moving at a relaxed pace no matter how angry his master sounded.
No, you are not allowed to sleep in my room, sir.
That's not what I mean! Help me talk some sense into her!
There is no sense in questioning her right to be angry, sir.
Good for you!
So, if I might be excused, I'll go prepare the second bedroom for you.
Good for you! I have to keep a straight face as he stomps away in defeat.
Mutiny! This is mutiny! The system is being upturned, and the people are rioting, and everything is left asunder.
His voice is so good. His voice is so good. Talk is so good. It isn't every day that Luke is rendered speechless by someone he considers inferior, or to yield to another authority without an ulterior motive. His pride just won't allow it. I do keep telling the man to treat his people better. Once again, Cell. He may throw whatever fit he wants, but he will not be getting his way tonight. Cell. Victorious, I celebrate by jumping face first onto our bed. In before... spoilers? Undignified, yes, but nobody's here to judge me anyway. By the way, that's what I spoiled for myself. Remember how I said I accidentally spoiled something for myself while trying to look up what kind of creature this thing is? Yeah, I accidentally spoiled who it is, and kind of the situation involving it. So, I'm not going to actually say any names right now. Undignified, but nobody here is here to judge me anyway, right? Nobody is here to tell me what to do. Yet, as I succumb to sleep, I can hear them whisper to me. I can hear them whispering. You know what I'm hearing? The same whispering. Man, I really need to find the files for this game and just amplify that audio to find out what's actually happening. Help me. Guess who's gonna show up in 3, 2, 1. Calling for me. They want me. Need me. They drown me, pull me down and suffocate me in their embrace until I sink to the bottom. A deep abyss waits, inviting yet foreboding. They're calling to me from in there, aren't they? I do want to help, I do. When I try to reach out, something pulls me back, like a hook sinking itself into my stomach. And I break through the surface with a gasp. Squeakiness? I didn't hear any squeakiness. Sounds like a mouse. Yeah. I don't hear what you guys are talking about. Huh. I guess it's because I'm using headphones. It might sound totally different through actual speakers. Alone in bed and without Luke to hog the covers, I am swathed in cloth and slicked with sweat. It takes me a while to untangle myself and kick them all off. Both the bed and I are a right mess by the end of it all, but I am more than eager to just get up and go out for some fresh air. Wow, okay, so this jumps forward from... That's what it sounds like on our side. It shouldn't. It should be capturing the exact same sound. Are you using headphones or some sort of like laptop speaker or even like a external desktop speaker? Because it shouldn't sound like a mouse or squeaky. There was a tiny bit of squeakiness there, but it was mostly just like whispering and stuff. Speakers. I'll have to check that out on my own when I play this, when I replay this after I finish it for more content. I'm only gonna stream through the first run until the first ending I get. The first good ending. If I manage to get a bad end, I'll go for probably try to figure out where I went wrong. The days past had gone by a blur. We hadn't talked much, Luke and I, outside of necessity. In fact, we've hardly talked beyond the topic of acquisitions of properties. Properties being the mansion, obviously. Everything has been so busy that I haven't talked to anyone outside of business, and it's just so stressing. I like to point out, this happened 2 days after what happened with Isabella. So we completely... Whatever's happened here is already done. Then there's something that happened here for her, and then now it's this. So I'm very interested in seeing what happens next. Oops. I don't think I read that. Everything has been so busy, I haven't talked with anyone outside of business, and it's just so stressing. So, one can understand my need for a good chat, preferably over a good meal. There are times when any decent, emotionally healthy, and socially capable person need a good friend. One who will talk to them without the conversation degrading or turning into an argument. Or barring a nearby friend, I have an interior designer and under a confidentiality agreement to listen to me.
Up! Higher! Come on now!
The place is bustling with movers, carrying furnishings here and there, along with several trunks of personal belongings taken from our penthouse. I can hear Luke barking at them in the other room, making sure nothing is handled carelessly or gets stolen.
Careful now! I know your pictures are framed by cheap plastic, but those are framed by African blackwood and are one-of-a-kind commissioned paintings. Each one is easily worth a lifetime of what you lot make.
It is hard to tune him out. The walls did not do a good job of muffling him at all. But then again, it is Luke. I would still hear him ranting even if we were on the opposite side of the mansion and I'm wearing earplugs.
I'd really like to thank you for inviting me to breakfast, Mrs. Wright. But I already ate, so I should really go back to work.
Nonsense! You arrived so early. You must not have gotten a proper meal.
No, this isn't Lanny. Lanny is the one who does Vegeta's voice. Taka does Cell, Nappa, who else? I know he plays Heathcliff from Sword Art Online Abridged. Who else does he voice? Yeah, Lanny voices Popo, Roshi, after Season 1 Roshi. Vegeta, Krillin. Yeah, Lanny voices... Lanny apparently does voice someone in this game, but I haven't found him yet, or I don't know, because he's labeled as quote-unquote background character in the voice credit that I looked at, so...
Our butler has made a surprisingly lovely Bubble and Squeak.
Squeak? Huh?
Sit. Sit! I'd situate us in the dining hall, but it is a mess right now. Oh, Johans!
The man in question appears, ready with the tray as he starts to set the table for us. We sit in silence as we are each served a plate. Bubble and Squeak, topped by a nicely poached egg with some cherry tomatoes and other garnishes adorning the edge of the plate. A cup, like your life, a mess. A cup and saucer and teapot with some Earl Grey is placed down for Marianne, and I ask for an Orange Julius.
How are you liking the project?
Drop that vase and I'll have your head! I know it's only an 8 million yen vase, but I swear, I'll...
So, 80,000-ish US dollars, and this is taking place in Britain, so probably about 60,000 pounds. Not cheap, but not expensive.
Well, it's certainly a fun challenge, incorporating the designs of a Jacobean manor and the functionality of a modern household.
That still sounds like such a weird word to me, Jacobean. I don't know, it looks like it should be Jacobian to me.
I have ideas I would like to suggest, by the way, about what to use the second bedroom for. I have been informed of your goddaughter and thought a kid-friendly room might be in order.
You read my mind. I was actually going to bring that up.
Give me a second. Okay.
Oh, that would just be so lovely, Marianne. That way, Kylie can bring her friends over as well. And a good friend of mine, Rochelle, is expecting a baby. So, why don't we think about putting a crib in there too? I can just imagine little ones running around, filling this place with the pitter-patter of their feet. We'd have to make sure they don't trip and fall on the stairs, though.
We won't be able to finish everything up until after the party. But we'll have it ready by then, so that all we need to do is to move in the furnishings.
Yes, that's plenty fine. It's not like we're in a hurry to have it. And we wouldn't want the workers to disturb the guests or the other way around, do we? Just make sure it's presentable. You know, in case a guest snoops about.
Of course. As for the kitchen you wanted, I've already negotiated for the high-end stoves and the hot and cold drawers, so on and so forth. I've got a friend who is able to customize them so that they'll look like the counters we'll be replacing and fit the rest of the interior. They'll be bringing them in today.
Why can't you people do anything right? Don't drag it, you'll scratch the wood.
Excellent. But no, really, how have you liked it so far?
Oh, it has been wonderful, believe me. Everything is going smoothly too. It has been a long time since I've worked on something on this grand a scale. Nowadays, everyone is about condos and flats, living in the city where every room is an identical box.
Modern times, not 80s? Okay. I don't know where I thought that, I didn't know, so...
Believe me, this is very refreshing.
We lived in a condo before this, Marianne.
I didn't mean any insult,
It's fine, sweetie. Look at you, all frazzled. I was just pulling your leg. Luke wanted that penthouse when we got married, and you can thank him for purchasing this place as well.
She looks confused. Of course, she has every right to be. She, no doubt, overheard me push that estate agent into the sale, making quite the aggressive offer. She saw me sign for the papers for the mansion as well. I just had to scoff.
Don't be fooled. I'm just the treasury. I wouldn't be able to make a purchase this grand without his seal of approval.
Brits go more back and forth for fashion, mostly 70s to early 90s fashion. Okay, well... I just thought I heard somewhere else, just like something that made it sound like it was like late 80s, early 90s probably. So... That's still relatively modern.
I see.
That's it? That's all you have to say?
Yes, it wouldn't be appropriate to comment further. It is unprofessional.
Unprofessional?
I can't help but let out a deep sigh as I stick it forth into the dish. I didn't want professional. I want someone who will either agree with me, or if it's just for the sake of agreeing, or someone who will try to talk some sense into me. Neutral responses are so boring. There's no discourse in the middle ground.
The food is good. Best bubble in school.
Of course it is. Our kitchen staff only uses the freshest, hand-picked ingredients.
I'll redo those.
The food is good. Best bubble in squeak.
Of course it is. Our kitchen staff only uses the freshest, hand-picked ingredients.
Sorry, I talked over that and accidentally hit the button, so...
Only the best for the Wrights.
Mr. Wright is not joining us?
No, he is far too busy bossing people around. He even refused to join me for breakfast earlier, hence this.
I see. My apologies. I really don't know what sort of response you expect to get from me.
There's a clatter of silverware as I slam my hands on the table. It is frustrating. I am frustrated. At Luke, mostly. But Marianne's neutral professional answers are certainly irksome as well.
You're a human with feelings and opinions, aren't you? Don't give me this bollocks about being professional when we're having a nice friendly chat over a nice and friendly breakfast. I can only talk about interior designs for so long, and I detest one-sided conversations, Marianne.
But I really don't know what to say, Mrs. Wright. We were talking of no topic in particular, and...
Luke. We were talking about Luke.
About him not eating breakfast with you?
About him treating me as if I were some treasury!
I didn't realize that I shouted that out loud until it was too late. There was a stunned silence that settled before I slumped back into my seat. Hiding my face beneath my hands, or behind my hands, I can feel my shoulders shake. Breathe, I told myself. Calm down. But it is just so hard.
Honestly, sometimes I feel like he doesn't love me anymore. Oh, have I been so blind? Did he ever love me at all? Was our marriage all for the sake of saving his company and his wealth? Because?
Because?
Did I say all that out loud again? No, this is bad. Unacceptable. It has been rumored before, the real reason for our engagement, but if anyone were to know of this? Marriage is of necessity to carry on political and financial power used to be a common thing, but the Evans-Wright union is a perfect happily ever after. Was supposed to be. It is true that we first met each other in order to discuss dealings to make the then-falling Wright Enterprise a subsidiary for Evans Incorporated. Or then failing, excuse me. So yeah, she definitely had more money than he did. Huh. Good to know. But I do remember being in love with him, and there were times where he said he loved me back. Even if I'm not sure of what the truth is now. Either way, I do not want the Wright name or the Evans name dragged through the mud because of a slip-up. And if Marianne so much as talked of this, I'm asking, there's no way threatening's of a good idea. Marianne is a good sort, isn't she? Yep. So far, she has been reasonable and accommodating, even towards Luke's ridiculous requests. Patient and professional, did it only extend to business? Or would she be able to understand that things like this are not as simple, not as clean, as they are painted to be? I shouldn't be laughing at that, but that choice of words is kind of funny. And you know why. Certainly, I can talk to her. Ask for her.
I won't speak a word, Mrs. Wright. Not only am I contractually obliged to, it would also go against my principles. This is no one else's business but your own, and it should be kept between the two of you. And whoever you wish to seek counsel from.
Please, Marianne. You have to understand. These sort of affairs, if anyone were to know this, they could just twist it and we'll be ruined. All I ask for is your silence on the matter.
If I am to be frank, Mrs. Wright, this isn't new for me. You aren't the first, and you certainly won't be the last to have complicated dealings. Unless what you're doing is illegal, I turn a blind eye.
Can I trust her? Yes.
If I wasn't in the same boat, I'd be trying to pry those secrets and gossip with you about them by now.
Well, I'm keeping that information confidential as well.
It's not like I have any other choice, do I?
Thank you.
We continue to eat our meal in peace, finishing the last of the food and drink. When the door to the parlor opened, Marianne and I are just sitting in silence.
Madam, the photographer from Luxury Living is here.
I give him nothing but a small nod.
This was a wonderful meal, Marianne. You're free to return to your duties. I must excuse myself.
It was my pleasure. And thank you for the food as well.
Making my way downstairs, I look back and see Marianne give me a small nod and a small smile. That certainly put me in lighter spirits. An interview with Luxury Living. That is today, isn't it? Oh yes. People had caught wind of our new mansion the very moment we left the open house. Luke had boasted he could acquire the property in no time and allowed a photo shoot for an interior design magazine to be scheduled today. Well, there were complications, and it took longer than it usually does for us. Hopefully, I won't have any other unfortunate slip-ups with someone who isn't bound by confidentiality. Complications! Like Rose dying, maybe? And what happened with Isabella? That probably slowed it down a little bit, yeah. The mansion grounds has been one of the first things to be fixed up aside from the bedroom. Although it's still a work in progress, it had a promising start and I can already see the flower patches. Luke's favorite daffodil stands out easily, having been transplanted from the pots that used to litter the rooftop of our penthouse. Why, if the moving crew thought that Luke was being hard on them, they clearly didn't see the landscaper on his way out. The man looked like he was ready to faint, and Luke seemed ready to kill him by the end of the discussion. Oh! Hey, it's Zach! It is in the gardens that I see him standing near the flowers in quiet admiration. He is hard to miss, the hulk of a man that clearly did not belong, and the big backpack and suitcase he has with him makes him look much larger. It is a peculiar sight seeing someone who looks like he does, handling little delicate things with such care. He looks up from the gardens and does a double take before a friendly face replaces his serene expression.
Miss Wright, yeah? Hi, Zachary Steele here from Luxury Living, ma'am. Hope you weren't waiting too long. But it looks like you're still moving in, huh? Thought for a second there my calendar was wrong and I came here too early.
The one and only. Welcome to Maison de Right. And yes, we've been in the process of moving in as we were delayed, but it won't be a problem. They're just adding a few things here and there, and you should still be able to do your work. Where's the rest of your crew then, Mr. Steele?
Zach is fine, please. Mr. Steele makes me feel like I'm a mascot for a cleaning product. Anyway, I'll be your one-man crew for today. Don't worry, been doing this gig for a while now.
You must be quite the veteran to handle this on your own. We've had a full crew coming into our penthouse the last time we were covered in your magazine.
Veteran? Oh, your words are too kind, Miss Wright.
Hannah! If I get to call you Zach, you have my permission to call me Hannah.
Alrighty then. Anyway, I'm no veteran, but I know my camera well enough to make sure this is a good shoot. You can trust me on that, Miss Wright. Hannah.
Zachary proves quickly enough that I can, in fact, trust him, his skills with the camera and experience in this industry at the very least. He is kind and courteous, listening and following as I lead him around the house. A really nice fellow, and he treats our house with staff very well whenever we cross paths with them. I answer his questions to the best of my ability, and he is patient enough to answer mine whenever I get curious enough. For one, I ask what the bags are for. They're quite the magician's toolkit. From inside, he had procured several items to embellish the interior with. Bowls of fruits, lemons, trays with paper mills, stacks of cookbooks, cutting boards, and glass canisters filled with colorful nuts and grains are brought in for a kitchen setting. For the bathroom, there are white towels, seashells, and decorative soaps. There are other things as well, too numerous to count, all in that large backpack and suitcase.
Tricks of the trade. Softens up a room, makes a place feel more homey, and fills it up with texture.
How much you want to bet that the pictures are going to have, that at least some of the pictures are going to have the ghost in them?
But you guys probably have better stuff I can use for this.
No lights? Don't tell me all of these are just props.
Well, I've got my tripod here. For things like these, natural light is best. I'll just have to set the shutter speed to a real slow setting, and as long as nobody steps into the shot, it'll look great.
But someone's going to step into the shot. Someone who was probably already in the shot, and no one could see them.
Oh, it better.
We go through the rooms, one at a time, although we first tackle the ones that the movers have no business in anymore. The ballroom needs a little preparation with its grand design. Although there is some trouble at first with the wide open space and the pictures being backlit. It is in the kitchen that Zachary's props come in handy, considering how Johann's kept the place so neat and sterile one could practically eat off the floor. We carry on, touring the house and taking pictures where we can, with exception to the rooms which have yet to gain any purpose or design. Too bad I can't take a sneak peek at his photos yet. Funnily enough, he is using a traditional camera. I didn't even know film still existed. Okay, yeah, this is modern then. Yeah, that's right, we've had smartphones. What am I thinking? Yeah, this is totally much more modern. With the way he speaks, however, I can see that he knows enough about his craft that I'm not too worried about botched photographs. I imagine photography must be cathartic for him, judging by how at ease he looks while taking pictures. There are small snippets of conversation in between the clicking of the camera. He even goes as far as to talk about these terminologies like shutter speeds and aperture when I ask about the technical aspects. Also, I would like to add one more thing. Everyone saw the letter on this day, on 21st. All of them. Every single one, and Rose. So by this point, Zachary's already seen it as well. I don't know if he's seen the ghost yet, but he has seen the letter. I can't quite see the picture as it is made, much like when I watch artists paint on their canvas. But when watching someone passionately practicing their craft as this but just watching someone passionately practicing their craft as this is exciting in its own way. In its own way. Excuse me, there's no W there. Going through the many rooms has been quite the exercise for the both of us. Despite that, he's been so nice, and I find myself putting on my best smile. But it is as we're taking pictures in the foyer that everything comes to a standstill for a moment. Just a moment. And had I not been paying attention, I wouldn't have even noticed. It is merely a split second when Zachary's rhythm is put to a halt. His finger doesn't remove to release the shutter. Yet he also doesn't pull the camera away from his face, gaze still firmly fixed to the viewfinder. His hands shake and there is a light sheen of sweat on his forehead. Okay, yeah, he's definitely seen her by this point.
Zachary?
No response.
Zach? Is something the matter?
Lowering his camera, he blinks and stares at something behind me before shaking his head. They're gonna die. Not if I have anything to say about it! Turning around, though, I see that nothing could have gotten his attention.
Oh, no, there's nothing wrong. I just remembered something that's all. Let's get back to the pictures. Can you move a bit more to the left, yeah?
I struggle to respond this time. There's a sudden weight on my back and an indescribable tightness around my throat. Gee, I wonder what the fact that you were being, attacked and partially strangled has anything to do with that, everything stops. And everything starts again as I manage to choke out.
If you're sure.
I don't know what just happened. It was probably just a dizzy spell. I'm fine. And he said he's fine. We continue at the same pace as before, although there is an unspoken agreement that we will not talk about what happened.
So, is this a full-time job for you then?
Nah, I just freelance mostly, for magazines, newspapers, and events. So you can't really call it a full-time job. It's fun and it puts food on the table, but it's not what I really want to do. At least, not all the time.
What is it that you want to do then?
Maybe I've been out of line, sticking my nose in other people's business, but I can't help but ask. I regret doing so, as I see his shoulders slump and the easygoing air he has fades away. He looks torn over whether he wants to talk about it or not.
Films. Documentaries, mostly. But cinematography is a lot more difficult than photography, right? I was working on this thing, actually.
He wants to dance.
What thing?
Well, it wasn't really a big thing. People didn't like Blue Fonzie very much.
People don't like a film about colors. I suppose they would have liked Blue Bibby a lot more.
Very funny.
And dance, lots and lots of dance.
So, Grand Director, do you want to tell me what Blue Fonzie is all about?
He hesitates. But when I refuse to budge on the matter, he spills in and gives in and spills it all out. Blue Fonzie. I'm not even going to bother try reading that, because I know nothing about French. Dark blue, the darkest hours of the Black British. He speaks with passion of one who has gone through the very matter he is concerned with. There is conviction, knowledge, and experience in his speech. You try to translate it? The game already did for you, dude. Yeah, I figured as much. Why, I would have told him that he's an amazing speaker if only I wasn't so engrossed listening. Prejudice and discrimination in schools and in the workplace. Lesser chances for opportunity and higher chances of being treated like a criminal. He spoke of blacks and people of color in general still being treated like second-class citizens. All because of the color of their skin. It is all just positively riveting. And sad. It comes to a point wherein he soon loses steam. He looks abashed, realizing what he had just done.
Sorry, I just got so carried away and...
It's fine. It is really so fascinating to watch people talk about their passion after all. You should see how your eyes light up when you speak so fiercely. You do have very beautiful eyes.
You're doing the same thing your husband does.
Uh-huh. Thanks, I guess.
I want to say that I understand where he's coming from. But I really don't, do I? I was born with a silver spoon in my mouth, and I've lived a charmed life. It hasn't been perfect, but the difficulties I've been through pales in comparison to what others experience on a daily basis. I certainly don't know how I would have fared if it were any different. Would I have still met Luke and would he have still loved me if I was any lesser? No. Probably not.
What was your home like? These things you talk about, it sounds like you've... Well, I don't mean to pry, I mean.
Live with my older sister and my grandparents. We had a shop selling all sorts of things below our flat. And well, I was one of the few non-white, non-British students in class. I didn't get pushed around or anything straight up. Even then, I was one of the biggest kids around. But a pencil and notebook would go missing, you know?
Oh, that I knew. Children can be so cruel at times. Of course, it may be a slightly different story when you have personal guards, and the stolen item is not a pencil, but it's an expensive heirloom.
So what about you? How you liking your new house? It's pretty impressive.
Give me a second, sorry. Music's gonna go off for a second. Alright.
It's nice, I suppose.
You suppose? Not big enough?
What? No, oh, don't be a bully. It's just that.
I understand if you don't want to talk about it.
I was a little girl, all dolled up and treated like fragile porcelain, with nursemaids waiting to be hand and foot. All the material possessions anyone could ever want, I could just ask for on a whim, and it would just be handed to me just like that. But I barely saw my parents. Just goodbye kisses in the morning when I went off to who knows where they were needed to next. I saw them more often on the telly or in the papers than I ever did in person.
I remember my old house. It was a lot like this one. Big walls and big halls, but nobody in it. Not really. It makes you think how alone you are.
See, she's sad. She's really sad. Her character's a lot tragic. I don't know why you didn't trust her, dude. A pensive mood overcomes us. And there's a moment where neither of us are sure how to go on from there. Things have gotten a bit too personal, yet it isn't wholly uncomfortable, like as if we've been friends before.
Well, that's normal, ain't it? You just moved here.
You still don't trust her? I don't know, I trust her. I think she's fine. Only one I don't trust right now is Luke, and that's mostly because of the intro. And because of who he's voiced by. And because of how he's acting. Okay, I just don't trust Luke.
You'll make home out of it yet.
He certainly makes it easy to believe that. My childhood house is indeed a lot like this one. Just as large and extravagant. And just as empty. I hope he's right.
So, Monsieur le Photographe, you've covered the one and only Ermengarde Mansion. What's next on the agenda?
The interview?
Boring. It's an interior design and housing magazine.
There's something about how vicious she can be. She's not someone I would think could be dependable. She needs a lot of growing. Yeah, I would agree with that. But she's mostly angry and vicious towards her husband, and all the resentment comes from that. So, once again, it all leads back to Luke. Also, I've noticed that same flock of birds fly in the background at least 8 times during this 9. Right there. That's the exact same flock of birds.
And they want to know what Miss Wright has to say about her interior design and house.
Honor Wright thinks she bought a magnificent house that she can certainly brag about. Blah, blah. Boring. You know what they should print more of?
Luke.
I watched an interesting documentary the other day. Bleu Foncé, The Darkest Hours of the Black British. I recommend you watch it. Those are the things that people should know about. What do they care if I use a purple or green bowl of fruit in my kitchen?
People, right?
That'd be a good raid message if I actually had enough people to raid. Flock of seagulls. I like that.
Oui, people are shite.
Not wrong about that.
What do you think? Do I look good with this angle?
I strike a pose while he's being busy, looking taken aback for a moment, probably not expecting me to go and just go and say such a crass word. But he recovers quickly, and after snapping a few shots, he grins.
Yeah, vous êtes belle. You want copies of these ones?
Yes, please. So, the big boy knows French. You must have wooed a few ladies. Unless you're into gents. Either way, French is, after all, the language of romance.
Not entirely. Not completely and totally correct. It's French, Spanish, Italian, Portuguese. There's 2 others as well that are considered it, and that's specifically the Romance languages off of the base root of Latin. I know this because I took 2 years of Latin in high school. Yeah, I could tell what that one meant.
Though I don't know about quoting fancy poetry. But I've made lunch for a girl before, and they did like that fancy French cuisine.
Can you cook your best?
I can cook just about anything as long as I know the recipe.
C'est magnifique.
It has been too long since I've had a nice and proper chat with a good friend. No, Lee is certainly not a good friend. Joe? I don't... And although we just met, Zachary is the kind of sort of who could probably befriend anyone. He's just a comfortable person to be around with. A bit too comfortable. The photo shoot went by a breeze, except for that one point where, Oh, okay. That makes a little more sense. Got it. Gotcha. It went by a breeze, other than the part where, you know, you almost got strangled by a ghost. And somewhere along the way, as we walk and talk, I find myself getting a bit too close without realizing. He'll give me this strange look until I back off, and he'll go back to asking questions after I've agreed to do his little interview. And it's just odd. Well, no. Me being friendly isn't that odd, it's how I am. Zachary is the one that's being odd. Why, anyone else would absolutely welcome the extra attention I give them. He, on the other hand, looks almost flustered about it. He should be used to different personalities by now, having to deal with various people when he works. And if not, he needs to start. Perhaps... Yeah, I'd booked the same flock. I know! It was going through the sky before. I noticed it, but I didn't want to point it out. Perhaps nobody has shown him attention of this kind, but he's a big boy. He should be able to handle me. All it is a friendly touch here, a party smile there, and the gentle swaying of the hips as I move around. Zachary grew more red every time he noticed. Am I being mean as I find enjoyment in seeing him unravel? Perhaps. This went on during the interview and beyond that. There's nothing wrong with what we're doing, right? Zachary and I are just having a playful, friendly chat while enjoying the outside view. At least that's how I see it.
I'm sorry, but I'm really getting distracted. Could you maybe stop doing that?
Stop? I'm not sure if I want to, though.
I'll stop if it makes you uncomfortable, sweetie.
Figured.
Sorry.
No, I should be the one apologizing. Why, you're a shy one, aren't you, big guy?
It's not that, but...
He gestures to the ring on my finger and lets the fact of the matter hang heavily between us. Being told implicitly that I am too forward is not a common occurrence. I think I'm more stunned at the fact that he pointed it out rather than being rejected. Sorry. Not that anything is going to happen between us in the first place. It was just going to be some harmless flirting, right?
So, you've never had a girlfriend?
No. No boyfriend either. You know, just in case you were gonna ask for that one next.
And you haven't even had your first kiss?
Not a one, ma'am.
Do you want to have your first kiss today?
I can't help it. I really, really can, and I'm going to apologize lots later. Surely by the catty smile on my face, it is obvious that I'm just pulling his leg. The laugh that I failed to contain certainly gives it away if it isn't still obvious. But still, he lights up in embarrassment, stammering and sputtering objections.
You're married, and this will be extremely unprofessional.
I never said I would kiss you, silly. Oh, Johans!
No! What? No! Don't call your butler. She's Hannah!
That would be for the better. I don't think his husband would appreciate it if I made him kiss another man. I do not think he can hear us from here either. But it is hard to think you're not taken, Zachary. Why, whoever becomes your girlfriend will be so lucky to have you. You can cook and take wonderful photographs. Wonderful meals and wonderful memories.
I can play guitar too.
You can? Oh my, wonderful serenades as well then. Perhaps I could find a young lady who deserves a fine, strapping young gentleman like yourself.
Let's not get carried away. Besides, I gotta be going. It's getting late and I got someplace else to be.
A shame. I will be expecting you again soon, I hope. For a copy of my photographs, yes?
Course, I'll even deliver them personally. Just, don't try to make me kiss your butler when I drop by.
As fate would have it, the very moments the words leave his mouth, Johans comes out of the house. Judging by the slight raise of his brows, he's only heard the tail end of the sentence.
There shall be no kissing of any butlers under this roof, Danke.
But you are not under a roof, are you, Hansi?
To my amusement, he takes a step back, safely placing him within the threshold of the foyer and under the roof of the house. And just as ever, he is quick to return with a sardonic reply.
I am now. As I was saying, madam, it's about time for supper. Will I be needing to set an extra place at the table?
Oh, what? No, I was just leaving, actually. So, you have a good night, Hana. And you too, Hansi.
It was nice to meet you, Zach, honey. You have a safe trip.
She's into yaoi. He nods, and the grin on his face as we say our goodbyes is the sweetest that I have ever seen. I linger, looking out for him with his relatively tiny bicycle, backpack safely secured in the basket by the front, and suitcase hooked to the back. Leaving as quickly as possible. He said he had to go somewhere anyway, but still, yeah. I watch as he went down the path towards back to Ansem Village until he is nothing more than a blip in the horizon. I cannot help the small smile on my face as I go inside for supper. Entering the dining hall causes me so much confusion. It is dark. For a moment, I thought the electric work is not up to par. But that clearly is not the case, as every other room is bright with artificial light. Maybe she likes him? I don't think so. She likes having someone she can talk to. I feel even more now than I did before. I feel like Hannah's not a bad person. And I also feel like I'm starting to identify with her loneliness more and more. So, finding the light switch is a monumental task considering the size and my unfamiliarity with the room. To make matters worse, the darkness grants the room a different atmosphere, eerie and frightening. It takes longer than I thought to find the switch. Something will have to be rectified later on. My skin starts to prickle, and there is the distinct feeling of being watched. It unsettles me and only spurs me on in my search. And when I do open the lights, there's a hiss. A hiss?
I'll turn the lights down, woman!
There, at the end of the hall, is my beloved husband with his face in one hand and a glass in the other. Perhaps I can let it go if it's only one glass of wine. However, I feel myself go livid after seeing the toxic green fluid gleam mockingly at me.
Luke, what? Are you drinking absinthe? You know what the doctor said. Absinthe, Luke. Are you actively trying to kill yourself? Because if you are, we can just hit you with a bloody car!
Honeybee, Buttercup, not too loud, please. Besides, it's Lelouch, not too strong. Just hair of the dog that bit me. Helps with a hangover, dearest.
You drank? When?
Your eyes turn green before you dive from that stuff. Hers are blue.
This morning, love, don't be mad. I just needed a few drinks, having to deal with those simpletons.
He also asked where they could put together a winery in the house. So...
And maybe I had one too much. You don't see me whinging about you leaving me to handle them on my own.
I had to attend the photo shoot and interview with Luxury Living. You know that. Let's not make this about me, Luke. about you and your drinking problem and...
WoW probably to this one, I assume. Also, drinking problem just makes me think of that scene from Airplane.
Oh, I don't know, Hana, darling. What if my drinking problem, as you like to call it, is linked to you? If we think about it that way, this discussion is about you. That was pretty mean of you, leaving me alone to do all the work like that.
His flirting problem, his anger problem, and his drinking problem. Yes, Airplane. Splash on face. Open mouth, splash on face. Such a good scene. Such a good bit.
You can't use the interview as an excuse either, honey. I was informed the moment your little interview was done. So, what was it then, What were you doing?
What's it gonna be? Should I tell the truth or tell a little lie? I want to fix the relationship. I don't want them to hate each other. But I think he needs to know. Yeah, I think he needs to know.
I was talking with Zachary, the photographer for Luxury Living.
Yep, yeah, I figured. I have no reason to tell lies. It's not like I'm guilty of anything. Truth always comes out in the end, stiff upper lip. But as Lou's expression turns, he makes me feel like I am actually to blame for something. He has a way of making me laid bare with just a look. That had really struck me when we first met years ago.
That giant Negro?
Oof.
You were having a secret meeting behind my back and it was with him?
What are you implying?
I'm implying nothing. I'm just worried. You know better than to trust those media types, Buttercup. He must have been really friendly to occupy your time like that.
Yeah, whoa, I agree. Whoa.
But all he's looking for is his next big headline.
Yeah, agreed. I'm actually kind of surprised that Taka voiced him, with how Team 4-Star is so anti that. Also, he bleaches his hair. Can I point that out? He bleaches his hair. His eyebrows are brown. They're not the same color as his hair. I just noticed that. Can't really see hers from that image.
He's a photographer for an interior design magazine.
No, her hair color and eyebrow color is the same. His is not. Okay then.
Doesn't matter. You let one little thing slip, one wrong move, and it'll blow up in the telly in the morning. He'll go to his journalist friends to gossip and make a quick quid.
His eyes were the first thing I noticed about him. They were like nature, the grass and the trees, wonderful and breathtaking. Now as I look at him, they're nothing but the same shade of green as the bloody damn drink in his hand. Can you get him grow a beard? What kind of man is he? Native?
He was a perfect gentleman, Luke. I can't say the same for you as of recent.
Excuse me again? We're talking about you, Hana.
No. I am pretty sure we were talking about you and your drinking problem, Luke, right?
Hangover forgotten during the course of this little spat, the man jumps to his feet and seethes. It looks like he's barely stopping himself from throwing the nearest thing he could find.
Oh, it is not a problem. I can stop whenever I want. And even if it was, I think you can very well stay out of it, as it only affects my own kidneys or liver or whatever the bloody hell that shite pollutes. Whatever aftermath that occurs because of your little chit-chat with the Negro affects the both of us, however.
I want to punch this guy in the face more and more with every sentence.
Look, Luke. Nothing will happen. You have to relax. It was just a friendly chat.
Prove it. There's a 12-step program for that. Yeah.
Well, now I think I'm getting jealous.
Oh, really? That'd be a first, because you make her feel that way all the time.
Or I would be if it weren't for this damn headache.
Maybe you should drink more.
Maybe.
Supper is spent in silence with nothing but the occasional sound of silverware. A grand feast has been served. Well, grander than usual anyway, most likely due to Luke's complaints of stress. A platter of native oysters for starters, and a tranche of turbo. I'm just gonna say turbo, with purple sprouting broccoli, lemon, capers, and anchovy sauce for mains. To finish it all off, black tea and golden syrup sponge pudding with custard. That actually looks really damn good. I thought he's been jealous. No, she's been jealous of any time that he hits on other girls. She doesn't really... She said herself she doesn't do that very much. She was hitting on Zach, making Zach uncomfortable with playful teasing. And he's not worried about that. He's worried about the papers. It's annoying. But when our appetites are appeased and the plates are cleared away, Luke stands, kisses me good night, and leaves me to stare at my half-empty cup. Lonely in the lull of night, I sit in a house too big and too empty, foreign and unwelcoming. Even with its warm tone and homely decor, it feels cold. There's no need for tears, however. I know I can get through this like every other obstacle I've faced before. This is a minor setback in what I hope will be a long and happy life. Preferably one that does not involve Luke. To remind myself that this place is for Luke and for our future children fills me with a renewed vigor. Besides, it looks like someone's having a cry already. That's a distorted crying I'm hearing. That's the ghost. The wailing is far away and muffled. Yet at the same time, it shakes me to my very core as I hear it. Actually, it could be... Ooh, that'd be interesting. As if the suffering is just standing right beside me. Hearing it sends a... There's something to that in how the words empty cup are very strong in the situation, very well worded. The half-empty cup? Okay. This is one of my favorite answers to that debate. If it started full, it's half empty. If it started empty, it's half full. It's not a matter of, like, optimism versus pessimism. It's, what did it start as? If I see a cup that's on the counter, have no idea what it started as, I'll say that I would probably call it something that is halfway filled with water. I would not necessarily say it's half full. I would not say that it's half empty. I'd say that it's halfway got water in it, basically. It's got there's a half glass of water. I wouldn't say it either way. Half a glass of water. Anyway, suffering standing right beside me. Hearing it sends a chill down my spine and makes my skin prickle with goosebumps. Who is that? Curiosity sinks in as I follow the sorrowful sound to the kitchen. And into the wine cellar hatch.
Hello? Is anybody down there?
I am curious and concerned, but there is no way I'm going into a dark and humid underground. I'm not as enthusiastic as Luke, who considers himself quite the connoisseur. However, I also cannot bring myself to go to bed with this racket going on. Let's be an idiot and follow the wailing instead of calling police. Yeah, that's one thing. But I have a feeling this might not be what we're expecting. Oh, now we're calling out to it. No, I actually feel like this could be something else that I learned about. Wasn't this in a dream? Also, yes, it was. That's actually a very good point. Thank you for pointing that out. Let me make sure that's saved. Okay. Because there's probably going to be a quick time event that I don't want to lose. If it is one of the household help, they would surely need some talking. After all, this wouldn't be the first time I found one of the maids sobbing their eyes out over one thing or another. Probably Luke insulting them constantly. As professional as our staff are, they are still human. More often than not, it was either Johans or I who'd calm them down, who'd help them figure out how to go on about such things. Unfortunately, I'm not in high spirits right now, so I'm not as wholly benevolent. So I will... Or doing other things to the help. Abuse? Probably, yes. Yeah, I'm thinking open too. Just because it's a horror game, but I want to see what happens. And because there's a possibility that it's what I'm thinking it might be. It might be a twist thing that's trying to play with your expectations. I may not be going down, but there's no point in talking through closed doors. Or hatches in this case. The thing refuses to budge at first until there is a soft click and it easily swings free. As I lift up the hatch and look down into the cellar, a sense of uneasiness washes over me. It's a potato. Okay, I hear what you're saying with the squeaking, but it's in between very muffled, very quiet words. It isn't just the sudden onset of vertigo and nausea, but also the darkness. It's suffocating. And as I look down, it feels as if it's looking back at me. I worry that something will suddenly pull me into the deep. I can hear her whispering. Help me. Calling for me. She wants me. Needs me. Okay, who read from the Necronomicon? Klaatu Barada Nikto. She wants to drown me, pull me down, and suffocate me in her embrace until I sink to the bottom. A deep abyss waits, inviting yet foreboding. This sounds very similar to the words that were used in the dream. She's calling to me from in there, isn't she? And I do want to help, I do. But the shadows threaten to creep out, and a feeling of apprehension keeps me in place. Already it paints the room in a darker light. Shove smart, shove that smart. Nice. This is like the dream all over again, only this time there's fog in the room. There's a hook in my stomach as well. But this time it doesn't pull me back. Instead it pulls me forward. There's a lurching sensation, and the feeling that it follows after is hard to explain. It feels like I'm watching myself from the sidelines, a spectator to my actions, or lack thereof. I will myself to snap out of this detached feeling, to move, to do anything except stare at myself. And for a moment, I see the look of fear in my face. Red miasma of doom! I'm back in my body, but the hook in my stomach is no longer the only one. There are hooks everywhere, tearing and pulling at my skin, flesh and bones. They're pulling me in every direction, and it hurts. It hurts so much, but I just can't bring myself to scream out.
Help me.
Whoa! I awake from a deep slumber. It takes a while with the fog that has settled in my head and with my heavy limbs. But soon enough, I manage to look around. I'm in our bedroom already, although I do not recall going here. Luke slumbers beside me, looking peaceful and angelic. It doesn't matter. I'm safe, and I feel better than ever. Tomorrow, better days will come. It's a horror game. Learn to type with evil spirits. Typing of the dead? That skipped a day. Hold on, that skipped a day. Why did that skip a day? Weird. Luke's already gone by the time I rise. There isn't a single hide nor hair of him to be found. And trying to call him on his mobile as a bus, as it only goes straight to his voicemail. That's twice in a row he's gone on me. And for him to disappear today, of all days, is a bit upsetting because of what's to come. The morning is once again filled with a whirlwind of activity. Fortunately, I'm much more refreshed as I took a break from my responsibilities. I see what you're getting at now, okay. I haven't the faintest clue where Luke was yesterday. Today is going to be a busy day, although unlike Wednesday, the master of his house isn't here right now, absent once again from his duties. Hopefully he'll be back in time for the party. This is our house, after all. A grand housewarming party for the wonderful Wright Mansion. Every person of importance from Luxborn is invited, and there will be few guests flying in as well. Of course, there will be some people from the media, along with friends and acquaintances who are made no less important, regardless of their status in society. I'm thinking the last thing you just said. The chances are he's getting drunk off his rear and abusing those around him. Or we can hope the thing got him. He'll be drunk, lol. I thought you were implying that he was having an affair with the help. Because of how friendly he tends to be with every female character in this game so far. But no, at this point, we are on the 28th, and the game ends on the 1st of November, which passes right over October 31st, Halloween. He could be, yeah, I assume, yeah. But, no, I'm thinking, by this point, affair was definitely implied. Yeah. But I'm thinking, we're here, right? They moved in around here. This is basically where everything's going to come to a climax, because it's Halloween. There's no way that a horror game that has Halloween in the timeline doesn't have the main story events happen on Halloween. But if he went missing here, and the end of the game is here, it's very possible that something happened to possess him. When did, Isabella end? Right there. This is the last time I've seen Isabella in the game, was on the 24th, exactly 1 week before. I did have to save her life during a QuickTime event, and it sucked, because the QuickTime event kind of sucked. But I got through it on the 3rd attempt, and everything went black, and then we changed to this character. We changed to Hannah. So, regardless, I already read that, okay. Marianne and I discussed business and last-minute touches at the house before finalizing everything. Not that there is much change from our original plans. Bar any huge additions to the property itself, the mansion is nearly 100% complete.
You have certainly exceeded expectations, Marianne. Everything looks so marvelous, and in such a short time, too.
Well, I can't take all of the credit. People have certainly been enthusiastic about the idea of working on the Wright mansion. There won't be any more problems unless Mr. Wright has any more objections about the second bedroom.
Luke and I had a small tiff about making the second bedroom into a child's playroom, which I insisted is completely practical. In the end, he had to acquiesce. I didn't give him any choice in the matter. I even bought this wonderful wooden crib from the antique store yesterday, including some toys. Just in case anyone brings their baby, of course. Besides, we have little need for actual guest rooms. We hardly have guests who spend the night. If we absolutely have to, we can often choose to foot the bill for their visit on one of our hotels instead, always at Luke's own insistence. And on the off chance that we actually let someone stay, the bedroom in the opposite wing is still up to the task.
Oh, no. We proceed with that room as planned. I already agreed to him having his greenhouse and his vineyard and his stables. He may as well let me have this one thing.
No, I did not agree to him having a helipad.
All right, then. Well, do we have any other concerns? Anything we need to put on our agenda before the party commences?
No, I don't think so. Not unless Luke has anything else to say.
Is he around then? It'd be best if we can note down his request right away, considering the scope of his usual ones.
Around? No. Where is he? Who knows where? Where to hide a body? I don't.
No, he's not around.
She didn't have to point out the obvious now, did she? After 7 long years, I'd already gotten used to him. I should be by now. Still not, apparently.
But don't you have a party?
I want nothing more to complain, to wing about how unfair this is. However, airing out one's dirty laundering is simply taboo among high society. To do so will make you a ripe target for the next dinner party chit-chat. Vultures, a lot of them, really. Or most of them, at least. There are always good ones like Rochelle Lee. But put your trust in the wrong person and you'll find yourself eagerly picked apart.
Yes. But Luke's just being a sweetie, you see. That friend he's visiting, he's having marital problems and he's just trying to cheer him up.
Perhaps I'm being a bit too rash, a bit too hot-headed in divulging details. But I thought myself clever with a plan to dress it up as gossip. Marianne's raised brow make me unsure whether she's interested or not. Also, her hair is the same color as her eyebrows. Luke's the only one who isn't. Although that does make things better if she has no interest and therefore has no hidden intent to utilize what I might say to her.
They've been married for a long time and they've hit how do they say it? A rough patch.
Sure he is. Yeah, she said she doesn't know where he is. She's just kind of trying to play it off.
His wife has a drinking problem and can be very neglectful. The poor thing really does his best to be a good husband. But it's never enough for her. Sometimes I think it's the years. Maybe it's been so long that they've lost that romantic spark.
Hello, Pot. My name is Kettle.
What do you think?
What do I think of the matter, ma'am?
No, what do you think of my hair? It feels so lifeless and dull today, and that's no good for a party. And I think I'm breaking out into zits.
Liar.
Now that you mention it, there is something different.
There better not be something on my face.
I wouldn't worry about that. You do look a little paler than usual, ma'am. I apologize if I'm crossing any lines here, but have you been resting properly?
Huh. You'd think I get a bit tanned with how sunny it's been lately. Don't you worry. I feel right as rain and never better.
Liar.
But back to the matter at hand.
You were asking for my personal opinion on the matter, ma'am?
Egg on the face.
Do you want me to be honest, or...?
Do I want her to be honest? Yes. Yes, I do, because I want to make her happy, so...
Be honest with me, Marianne. I don't need someone to sugarcoat it.
Yep, figured as much.
I'm not some fragile thing that I'm just going to break down at the slightest thing.
She hesitates, taking a sip of her coffee while I stare into my own cup of tea. The silence stretches on, and I almost believe that she will never answer my question. I suppose that I shouldn't blame her, putting her in a tight spot like this. Her hesitation is understandable, though I loathe to admit it. She simply wants this whole thing to stay professional. But then she speaks.
If I'm going to be completely honest, I need to ask. This is about you and Mr. Wright, isn't it?
Especially with all the Luke practice, she ain't soft. Yeah. It's my turn to hesitate now. I really didn't expect such a straightforward question. And to get to the heart of the matter, I suppose I'm not as clever as I'd like to think. Or is it really that bad that an outsider can see our little marital troubles? Surely we aren't that obvious, are we? We've put up the act of a perfect couple for years, although it hadn't always been an act. Marianne is just more keen than the average person, of course. It is a necessity to her career, and she's been working so closely with us. Yes, that's it.
Suppose it is. What would you tell me?
Then, I tell you it's none of my business. I tell you that I don't want to meddle.
I'd also tell you to get the hell out of this relationship, but that's just me.
But if the troubled husband with the neglectful wife asked me for my honest opinion, I'd say that he shouldn't base his happiness and his self-worth on someone else.
Good for you. Yes, I agree. It's actually exactly what she needs right now.
Someone who won't even give him the time of the day. Maybe he should try being independent for a while. See what it's like when he isn't trying to please someone else and doing things for himself. Everyone's supposed to be their own man or woman, right? A bit of breathing room never hurt anyone. That's just my 2 pence worth, of course.
So you're saying they should divorce?
Nothing as drastic as that. If they're afraid that it might lead to just that, then maybe that is what's meant to happen in the first place. We shouldn't let our fear control our lives. But it's just a short hiatus is all. Or, couples therapy? Look, I'm really not the best person to ask about relationships, so grain of salt and all that.
She trails off, having said her piece, and leaves nothing but the smell of coffee and Earl Grey between us. There is a calm despite the nature of what has just been discussed. But yes, you should divorce. You should have done that years ago, Hannah. Sorry to say. You have the money, he doesn't. Let him go back to being a poor failure, and you get someone who actually loves you. Don't care about their money, you've got more than enough. To say that her words make me start to think is an understatement. To say that I'm not considering her advice is a lie. And to say that this might just be the calm before the storm is a possibility. Others have had shorter marriages, yes, but plenty have celebrated long and happy ones as well. Because they're not living a lie. How... Ugh. My own parents celebrated their choral anniversary before they passed away. Can someone tell me what number that is? I'm going to assume it's in the 50s, but I have no idea. But 7 years? 7 years isn't a whole lot in the grand scheme of things. Yeah, exactly. That's why you have time to go find someone else who will love you. It isn't a whole lot of time to see what and where our relationship could bring us. He is abusive. Leave him. And at the same time, 7 years. Well, it hasn't been entirely made up of unhappy years, has it? It won't last forever. It's not supposed to anyway. Yes, it is. 35th, okay. I just dread the thought that it might last for a very long time. I dread the thought that these small spats, these little disagreements, will turn into an all-out resentment. He's abusive! You can't tell that by how he treats everyone else? The idea that we will grow to hate each other with every fiber of our being scares me. I can't even pinpoint the exact moment when our blissful union turned sour. When he started showing you his abusive side. When did he start to seek other women lacking any ulterior motives? When did we start to cooperate only to suit our materialistic greed and attention-seeking ways? Money and success. Fame and glamour. Are those the only reasons we still stay together? Yes. There's a cough before Marianne clears her throat. Coral or jade for 35th anniversary. The alternative is emerald for gemstone. Okay. I must have been quiet for so long, and I move to apologize when she stands up. We both end up on our feet, unsure how to proceed. Some sort of odd, awkward Yes, odd, awkward Pokemon. Some sort of odd, awkward shuffle occurs as we decide whether to sit back down or not.
I really should handle what's left of the work.
You won't be attending the party? Oh, you really must, Marianne.
I'll try to stay in chat. maybe grab a few bites and a drink, but I can't be around for the entirety of the event. My apologies. Busy, busy, busy.
You must stay a while. I'd love for you to meet some of my friends, and they're ever so excited to meet you.
I mean, it wouldn't be a bad idea. She's an interior designer for high-end clients, and it's her friends, so high-end clients. She'd get a good job, like a good series of references lined up for herself. She'd be set for life, really, if she did this. She knows about... That's also true. How did I forget about that? Yes, you're right. She knows about the house. 7th is wool for UK and copper for US. Onyx for gemstone or yellow, sapphire, copper, lapis lazuli. Okay.
You need to say hello to the Lees, at least. If it wasn't for them, I'd never even heard of you.
Yeah, you're right. By this point, she would have seen the ghost several times anyway.
We'll see. So, if I can be excused?
Certainly. You'll have to excuse me as well. I must attend to the party before any early birds arrive. Because, believe me, they will throw a fuss if things aren't ready, even when they're not supposed to be here until an hour later.
The scene outside the parlor is a great organized mess. Aside from our own household help, we hired the service of the temp agency, which provides staff for Wright Enterprise in the hospitality sector. Marianne runs like the Dickens. Yeah. That's Charlotte right there. The one who previously owned the house, Charlotte Ermengarde. Even our very skilled staff cannot undertake a party of this size on their own. Waiters, busboys, hostesses, and their staff captains move about in droves, carrying crockery and serveware, good for several dozen people and then some. Chefs and bartenders tail after Johans, looking like scared little children as he escorts them through the kitchen and into the wine cellar. To peruse the stocks, to select what can be served at the party and what can be used for cooking.
Schnell! We have a lot to do, and I believe we did not hire snails. Snails are for the dishes.
A string quartet readies up to play for the evening, tuning their instruments as they fill the air with idle chatter. Floral decor worth thousands fill vases. I'm gonna say vases. I was raised reading in vases. Wreaths and baskets, while petals are scattered along the driveway up front. An ice sculpture of a reindeer is brought in carefully by a pair. Actually looks really damn good. It is followed by a simple cake. Just a five-tier white chiffon one with white chocolate mousse, fresh berries, and a light dusting of edible gold leaf. But despite the fact that I told Marianne how I will attend to all of this, I find myself unable to focus or care for any of it. I still have our discussion running in my mind, and looking at all this, I only see Luke everywhere. Don't show to Grandma. These are all the grand things that Luke would have wanted to have for the party, excuse me. I had wanted a small, elegant, and simple gathering with only a select few invited, namely the people who I would actually trust to enter my home. I did not want any bloody politicians or paparazzi in here, no matter how used to I am to catering them.
At least be here for your party. Damn it, Luke.
The entire thing screamed Luke Wright. And I can't help but add another question to my growing list of queries. When did I lose myself? Wonder if she's the one who died there as haunting? Who, Charlotte? That doesn't look like the person who's haunting. I'm just gonna say that right now. The haunting looks different. The ghost that we're seeing in the game does not have blonde hair. It's always about him nowadays, isn't it? What about Hannah Wright? What about Hannah Evans? I used to be my own woman who made her own name, her own career, and her own decisions. Sure, I was already the social butterfly that I still am today, but it wasn't all empty, shallow gossip, and sitting pretty. Whoa, whoa. Okay. I was also lauded for my knowledge and talent. Finance manager wasn't just handed to me because my father owned the company. I had insisted that I start at the bottom so I could work my way to the top and prove myself. See, that's how you should do it. That's really how you should do it. If you're born into a wealthy family, still insist, like, I want to work for what I earn. You won't be happy otherwise. And I did. I worked numbers, managed budgets, money and accounts, analyzing the competition and market trends. There was a calculation of financial risk, cost reduction opportunities, auditor liaison, and public relations, supervision of staff, and... well, I generally had a huge slew of responsibilities. Admittedly, I was already quite the attention seeker even back then, having dedicated most of my youth craving for my parents' approval. Failing that, I looked to others, looked for praise from anyone who I knew would give it, however fleeting it all was. And Luke, oh Luke, the way he looked at me, the way he watched me and took a genuine interest. He's had me disgustingly obsessed since day one, hasn't he? He saw me for me, Hannah Evans, with both my faults and my achievements. The man didn't treat me like some damsel in distress or some prize to be won. I remember the nights before we were married where we talked about everything and anything. From big things like business, society, and philosophy to little things such as what we had for breakfast or whether we liked cats or dogs more. We both prefer dogs. They're both awful people. Nowadays, I'm just Luke Wright's wife. It's mostly my fault, isn't it? They told me that husbands preferred wives who were docile and subordinate. What? I wouldn't say docile and subordinate's what I look for. What I would want from a wife. I would want one who loves me. We would discuss things together, not just all be my idea or her idea. It's a partnership for a reason, guys. Come on. And one who will always be there for him, yet would never outshine him in all aspects except beauty. A wife needs to be at home and attend to his needs, to have children, and to take care of them in his absence. They said I have no business working anymore after I was married. I can blame society, but I listened. Companionship, someone who challenges you. Agreed, yes, that's what you want. You help each other grow. Before I can fall into further into this introspective pit of self-loathing, someone calls for my attention.
The guests have arrived, madam.
And Luke?
Running a bit late, I'm afraid.
Late for his own party. That man, I swear. He's probably looking to make a dramatic entrance, knowing him. Open the doors, then. We mustn't tarry.
Cars line up the driveway, peppering the front of the mansion with vehicles of every kind. Grand Tours, supercars, even the odd-end muscle car or two, convertibles, grand saloons, and other luxury cars can be seen, being parked by valets. A handful of cabs drive off, possibly for those who thought it's too troublesome to bring in their own cars. I'm sure he will. Actually, if what I suspect is gonna happen is gonna happen, he will show up in a very dramatic fashion. Completely and utterly insane. Borderline possessed. Just saying. Oh, right, you probably didn't see the intro. I wish I could show you, but I don't have a portion of that save. It's backed up on my YouTube channel. I'm sure that Trey can link it in the Discord once we're done here. A handful of cabs drive off, possibly for those who thought it's too troublesome to bring their own cars. There are at least 2 different media vans as well. They're all here for what may be considered the biggest event of the year for Luxborn. So far. Who knows what we'll plan for the winter holidays?
Welcome, everyone. Please, make yourselves at home.
Some of the guests idle, enjoying the warm if not strange sunshine we are experiencing before gloomy skies inevitably return. Yeah, this is England. It's been surprisingly rain-free for the days I've seen in this game so far. They greet acquaintances and friends with warm smiles, others less so. My dad actually went to England, and he definitely said, He said that definitely, like, it rained, like, every other day at least. Also, I'm noticing right now that OBS is only capturing 30 FPS. This game's running at 60, because those birds are not flying as smoothly on the stream feed as they do on my screen. Oh well. And yes, I'm still focused on the birds. What of it? From where I stand, I can see the hierarchy of power, the ties that bind these individuals here, whether through convenience or necessity. However, there are also a few who are not here to further cement their current place in high society. Such as that young man with his oriental air, ignorant of the looks he receives from women and men alike. Hi, Ash. And yeah, he actually does, according to backstory, he does have Asian heritage. You find that out in Isabella's chapter.
Be careful with Shirley, all right?
Or that rose-haired woman talking on her phone while she looks unsure of why she's here exactly. Ash, Becca...
Yes, I'm at the party already, Mom. Yes, I'll say hi to her if I can.
I see Zachary, the photographer, as well. He talks to a few of the other media crew with an air of familiarity. Hey, look, we're gathering everyone.
I was just here a few days ago, yeah. Yeah, and the inside is huge, but the staff are pretty helpful if you get lost.
I had invited Father Norman, too. It's the least I can do after he blessed the mansion on my request, aside from my small donation to the church, after all. Or, of course, but the poor man had taken ill and went through a nervous breakdown of some sort the other day. Nervous breakdown. You mean he was attacked by the ghost too? Oh no, who could have seen that one coming? And then there are people like the Chief Inspector. People who I can never be too sure about. People who stand on the border between being suspicious and being trustworthy.
Thank you for the invite, Anna. Husband still missing, I see?
Okay.
I should be saying the same of your darling Rochelle, Lee. The doctors again?
She told me she'll just be in the gardens. Bet she's lying and that she's somewhere around mingling, gossiping with the other ladies. It's no offense, but that seems to be all you ladies do at these parties.
And aren't you gossiping right now?
Yes, well, what about Luke? Should we file a missing persons report now, or do you want to wait 24 hours?
He's around.
You know, I can tell if someone's bluffing. Don't tell me, let me guess. He's finally drunken himself to death and not wanting a scandal, you've hidden his body.
Also wouldn't be impossible.
I was wanting to give this housewarming gift to him personally, too. It's a plate that holds a wine glass so he can stop killing himself with liquid lunches. Looks like it's too late for that.
Nothing like that. Besides, this is a hardly polite conversation.
Oh, relax. I'm just trying to be cheeky to lighten the mood. It's not like I want Luke dead. The man doesn't serve dodgy plonk like the others when I visit, and he pays his respects well enough. I could use a glass of wine or 3, actually. Rochelle's been in a horrid mood. Threw her stilettos at me the other day and almost took an eye out. Not sure if this is how it usually goes, but I blame the pregnancy.
I wouldn't know, would I?
Still no plans for a baby? Well, I guess that's for the best. If it's this bad now, I can't even imagine how bad it'll be when that little baby bump becomes huge.
Hang on a second, sorry. What do you mean by connecting YouTube? Sorry, I shouldn't say that out loud, but... Have I mentioned how I don't trust him, no matter how hard I try to do so? At least he brought a gift, I suppose. Here, let me do this. Okay.
Why don't you just go inside and have some wine, Lee?
Think I will, thanks.
Greetings such as these carry on as the guests continue to trickle in. The only two people who aren't here right now are Marianne and Isabella. Well, and Luke. Whether we have short conversations or merely shake hands and nod heads, I make sure to attend and welcome each of them. As the first hour passes by, the rest of the stragglers and I adjourn to the ballroom. Any latecomers will have the attention of the porter instead. I have other duties to attend to now. Hosting parties is always the same old song and dance, no matter how big or small it is. You make sure your guests are well fed, have good company, and have them generally enjoy themselves. So when my opening remarks are done, when the band has started to play and the guests have started eating, I find myself wandering around aimlessly unless I'm pulled aside. For a while, I stay with a small group and entertain them before excusing myself. And when they're not anywhere watching me, I end up watching them. When they don't listen, I do. A local banker is having trouble with his daughter. He wishes to marry her off, but she wants nothing more than to make music. One of our hotel managers worries about the stolen belongings of one of his patrons, a failing in security which should be brought up to higher authority soon. Our mayor, well, his cat died. Amusing enough after you put the meow in the chat room. And there is that rose-haired woman once again. Hi, Becca. It is hard not to notice her with her distinctive looks. Her eyebrows are not the same color as her hair is. Interesting. Huh. She also lacks the grace that the other ladies have, although that does not make her any less beautiful. Her stance and the air she exudes, instead, are strong, and they make her stand out despite her casual attire. Many men have already given her their attention, though each invitation to dance has been turned down. I approach, intrigued, although it is no great mystery what occupies her own attention, with the glances she keeps sending towards the boy with the oriental hair. Gee. Remember how I said how obvious it is she likes Ash? Please straight up come out and say it here. She remains unaware, though, even as I stand beside her, pretending that I am there for a drink.
You would catch his eye a lot better if you wore nicer clothes, don't you think?
Didn't realize the housewarming was going to be this fancy. I would have gone with a nice dress if I knew.
Oh, you're fine, dearie. It's only really the parvenus, those who climb, that come to these parties all dolled up. Quite the black-haired beauty, isn't he?
The boy comes over, but I do nothing to speak any softer. He merely passes by, and it is a wonder he doesn't hear what I say. He did.
Who, Ash?
You know, you really shouldn't have turned down those offers. If I wasn't married, I'd happily go dancing with those young men. But you said a name. Ash. That's the exquisite lad you've been looking at all this time. I don't know him, and I'm the one hosting this party. That must mean you know each other. Is he your boyfriend, then? Because that would explain those rejections.
In all my life, I have never seen a face grow red so fast. The shade of her hair did not help as well. This is the most pink I've seen on a person, really.
What? No, that's ridiculous. He isn't my boyfriend.
Such a violent reaction. A simple no would have sufficed. Many here would be happy to hear it.
And I haven't been looking at him.
Yes, you have.
That's right. You've been staring. Quite heatedly, in fact. Although I'm not sure if you look like you want to kiss him or kill him.
It's more the latter, currently.
Just don't go murdering him on my property. I don't want to walk into a room and suddenly find a body there.
Like you did already, and like you probably will when Luke... I waver as I feel the burning of someone stares. It is chilling, and though I'm used to enduring the gaze of others, this one makes the hairs on the back of my neck stand up. Nice! My attention is pulled from the girl, and I see a woman staring. Dark-haired and dirty, she looks more like a beggar than a guest, and I have half the mind to call security at her when her mouth breaks out into a grin. All I hear is her laughing. Taunting. Her stare makes my blood run cold. She looks at me like I am nothing but a pig to slaughter for her amusement. Actually, not entirely wrong on that. Probably. It makes my hand shake and I nearly drop my drink. But then, in a blink, she's gone and the buzz of the party returns.
I'll keep that in mind, but... Are you alright?
Yes, sorry. I just thought I saw something strange. It must be the trick of the light. Anyway, on a right, as you must already know.
Rebecca Gales.
Gales.
The name is familiar, like a fond memory. Really? I recall a kind lady, a private tutor, treated me like her own daughter when I was young. She'd even bring me food when there was no need to do so. Usually stovies, I still don't know how to pronounce that, which I hadn't been too keen about, although I ate them nonetheless because she brought them for me.
Oh, the professor! And your little Becky!
My parents couldn't make it since they're in Scotland right now. And Mom says hi, by the way.
Okay, so that's how she knew Scottish earlier. Sovies? Subvies? Stove. So like stove. Like an actual stove? And also, yeah, that explains how she knew Scottish earlier, because they're, why she spoke with the dialect, because her parents moved there. She might have moved with them? Okay, so stovies, got it.
But yeah, that's me. Little Becky. We met once before.
That makes sense.
Yes, oh, I remember you! You were the cutest little thing with glasses! And when we met, you were having boy troubles with this lad called something with an A.
Ashton. Holy crap.
What was it again? Aaron, Alan, Adele, Albert, Alexander, Andrew?
The more I list off names, the more red and the more quiet Becky gets. She starts to look a bit miserable as her body language shows discomfort and stiffness. Perhaps I have triggered a horrid childhood memory. No, more like he's still in the room. Surely I hadn't been mean when she visited with her mother. I don't quite remember all of it.
Ashton! Ash! That man is that boy! The same one. Oh, goodness me, after all these years! I can see why, though. He's quite dashing.
You don't really need to announce it to everyone within earshot, you know? Keep it down.
I'm so sorry, but it really is cute.
And a tad bit sad.
This is a nice party, Miss Wright.
Please, Anna's fine. We're friends of a sort, aren't we? We must be friends, seeing as I know about your little infatuation, Becky. Don't you worry, dearie. You'll have your happy ending yet.
I'm not too concerned about that, am I? That's not what I'm looking for.
Oh? And what makes you think that? Doesn't everybody want their happy ending?
The idea of happy endings sounds like they're just for fairy tales.
Rude, yeah.
And they are, sorta. I don't think you can just sit around, trapped in some tower and hope for the best. If you love them, you have to fight for it, right? You're not just going to sit there and hope that everything will just fix itself on its own. Like everything, you have to work at it. But what do I know?
There is a grimace, although she starts to relax around my presence. How long has it been since we met as children? Certainly a long time. She was tiny back then, if I recall correctly.
I'm sure the daughter of the two greatest professors I've ever known is smart enough to know what she's talking about. But have you told him how you feel? And it's been what, 20 years?
17, actually. But no, not yet. He can be a bit dense.
To everyone except for Isabella, yes.
I was hoping that maybe he'd notice on his own and...
Well, that won't do. What if you two become husband and wife? He's not to be dense when he's sworn himself to another person. Why, you might just as well consider leaving before the day's even begun.
If that happens, I'll have to give him a good ear bashing, won't I? Whoever anyone ends up with, it's not going to be a perfect relationship anyway. There's going to be things you'll love and things you'll hate about the other person. We're just humans. It's funny. Here I am, trying to give you advice when you did the very same thing back then. I remember you giving me a makeover when we were still kids, and you were the first I told anyone about my... crush.
I do remember now that she mentions it. Did I give her that yellow summer dress or the pink blouse and petticoat? She must have kept what I said, some of what I said in mind. It feels ridiculous remembering all of that years later, talking about boys and how they go crazy for pretty girls as if it's some gospel every woman should adhere to. It was so easy to say such things back then, with me not knowing any better. Though, looking at her now, she must have kept some of what I said in mind. Perhaps I did say something good at that time, enough for her to take it to heart? But all that didn't matter in the end as I mull over what she's just said in my head. What Becky has told me is very different from what Marianne told me. There is no time to ponder over that, however, as a hush descends upon the once lively crowd. The music of strings and the chatter slows to a grinding halt as the doors from the foyer opens. Here he comes. The last of the latecomers should have arrived moments ago. And anyone else this late would be simply too embarrassed to show their face. So this can only be one person, or rather, one man. There's only one man who is audacious enough to arrive at his own party so late. Actually, this could also be Isabella. Or Marianne.
Good evening, ladies and gents. Enjoying the party? I hope I'm not too late in welcoming you all to the right mansion.
Unlike I, who was raised in the spotlight and simply grew used to its presence, he sought it out every chance he could, even when there was no spotlight that shone. Barnabas Jones, or Luke. And I'll never put it against him when he smells like that. He did so quite brilliantly under the scrutiny when he channels his showmanship. Wrong mansion. Not entirely sure what you're referring to. You can tell by the way people's eyes light up as he speaks. How they listen, enraptured, even if all he's doing is a simple greeting. A little wave of his hands here, a little smile there, and a bit of swagger. I always tell him that, if he is not to be a businessman, he'll do well as an entertainer. I love this side of him, especially when he looks at me and he beckons me over to humbly share his place. Not a single second is wasted as I excuse myself from Becky's side and I make my way to Luke's.
Welcome one and all to our humble abode. Tonight, if you have yet to find yourself in your roles, you are our ladies and lords of the court of your king and queen, if you would excuse my presumptuousness. So, enjoy the feast that has been laid out for your senses as we only allowed the best to be served. Enjoy the rest of your night, everyone!
There is a round of applause, cheers, and even some hoots. Guests approach us left and right to shake Luke's hand and greet him personally, praises on their lips. It is because of this that I do not see her. I do not see her until she is dangerously close with fury in her eyes and she's already spitting venom. Johans restrains her, taking care to not to unnecessarily harm the pregnant woman. But that does little choice to deter her rage, and the man has no choice but to let her go, lest an unborn child is hurt. Although it might be too late for that, as I see an emptied glass of wine in her hand. How much is she imbibed in?
Are you feeling ill, Rochelle? Perhaps you need to sit down and...
No! Shut it, you munter! I ain't talking to you! I'm talking to this scumbag over here! You bloody bastard, standing there with your smarmy smile!
She interrupts me, jabbing my finger in my direction before she rounds on Luke. Even as whispers and murmurs break out among the guests, all I can focus on is the heat of the moment. Obviously intoxicated, judging by the smell of alcohol in her breath. I'm not ticked off about this little display of hers, at least not yet. But I am absolutely pissed by the fact that she'd endanger her own baby by drinking. There's a considerable amount of grace and restraint and grace that I must exercise while I wait for her tantrum to subside. I keep a patient, if tight, smile on my face. Luke's expression, on the other hand, is indecipherable. He looks like Lucius Malfoy in that image. Am I the only one who thinks that?
Watch your tongue! You're on thin ice, Rochelle. Where's your husband? Who even invited you?
I did.
And I told you with great emphasis not to. Now we have a drunk, hormonal, pregnant woman causing a stir. What is even going on?
I'm just about to ask that exact same thing.
I don't know. But Rochelle, do calm down before you hurt yourself. I can't understand a word you're saying.
Where is that husband of yours? Lee! Collect your wife right now!
Don't you fucking talk like I'm not here and you're not responsible, you ass! You told me that I should wait for you in the gardens!
Excuse me? What is this nonsense you're going on about?
Crazy talk! That's all it is! Just completely and utterly mad! Has anyone seen the Chief Inspector?
I am pregnant with your little bastard. You promised me you'll take responsibility.
Well, looks like we were right about that prediction.
God damn it, Luke. I finally got you to talk to me after months of silence, and you do this to me.
What?
What do you mean you're pregnant with? Luke, is this true?
Lies and slander, woman! Security! Johans, take her out of here before she makes an even bigger fool of herself!
No, you do not do this to me. I was so ready to leave my stupid oaf of a husband. I told you to leave that damn wife of yours. Look at her. Does she look like she wants a baby? Does she look like she could take care of a baby?
It is now that Johans returns with security along with a concerned-looking Officer Lee. They surround her and move to escort the hysterical woman. Judging by his pale face, he has heard the whole thing, and I feel nothing but pity for the man. Not that I believe Rochelle. Luke will never... He will never go so far as to sleep with another woman, right? Dear, he doesn't love you. He never did. I can't make it any more obvious.
I'm so sorry for her behavior. She's been under a lot of stress. And the alcohol. Talking nonsense, that's all it is. You're not allowed to drink because of the baby, Shelley. What are you thinking?
Nothing to see here, people. Move along.
Is there really nothing here but the ramblings of a drunk? Of course there's nothing but the ramblings of a drunk. She's just jealous. Jealous of this wonderful marriage, this happily ever after that I have with my prince.
Take that troll up out of here immediately!
Achievement unlocked, catfight.
And see to it that she isn't allowed to hear or anywhere we hold any authority in Luxborn.
To be banned from anything with the right name on it is basically social suicide. We practically own half of Luxborn, and there isn't a single establishment of repute that isn't under our patronage one way or another. This is Mercy. I could do much worse to her. At least this way she can just move out of the city and never ever return. I have stayed my hand in the face of her grievous fault, her bold-faced lies, when she deserves so much more. I can take away her business, have her factory shut down. It is too easy to ruin her life until she is just nothing. And it is all so tempting. I can only see red. The tension is thick in the air, and the silence that embraces the room is nearly deafening. There are worried and almost fearful glances from some of the guests, yet at the same time I can still hear them whispering. But as long as they hold their tongues and don't interfere, none of those matter to me. Especially when my darling looks at me with a different shine in his eyes. It almost seems as if he's proud of what I have done, and that spurs me on more than anything.
Everyone, please go back to enjoying the party. Don't let that mess of a woman ruin your night.
You heard her! Strike up the band, maestro, and let us dance like fireflies in the night!
It takes a bit for the crowd to stir again in the face of all that. But like most problems of the elite, it is brushed under the rug and forgotten in favor of merriment. He offers his hand to me with a small smirk and a bow.
Well, that was a mess, wasn't it? And you handled it magnificently.
It happens. We are very important people, are we not?
Milady, would you like to dance?
With pleasure, my prince.
No one is going to get in between me and my darling husband. Not Rochelle or any other rich, snooty scrubber. Not some common whore or an ambitious maid. No one is going to get near him in that manner, not while I'm around. And if I have anything to say about it, no one is going to get near him at all. I was expecting something to happen at the party. The day after, it proved to be a difficult task. Something more. I'm sorry, there was something that happened, but I was expecting more to happen. My darling prince is a man of many connections, a man of the people. He is always talking to one person or another, and I am always left alone, unable to stay by his side at all times. It is frustrating, but I have to be understanding. Besides, I don't see why he can't just stay at home. The least I can do is make sure I have his time while he's here, which in and of itself isn't as easy as it sounds. Not with that bloody valet of his tailing him around.
Johann! I can't find it anywhere.
Clicked one too many times.
Johans! Where's my tie?
Have you looked around your neck? It should be there if it's not on your clothes horse, sir.
It isn't often that I'm awake this early, at least early enough to find my darling preparing for the day with his valet attending to him. It is an old-fashioned way to go about the morning. He's able to dress himself, after all. But he says that it really makes the day easier for him to have someone else do this tedious task, albeit with a grimace. Though if that manservant of his dislikes the duty so much, I'll gladly do it in his stead.
I've got it, my prince. Come here.
Well, someone's up and at them especially early this morning, huh? Here I thought you'd be knackered by all the dancing we did last night at the party. And after that, well...
A saucy little wink and a smile is what he offers me as I draw close enough to fix his tie. And when the valet reaches out with his perfume, I quickly take it and shoo him aside. This close, his scent fills me with the smell of white flowers, cocoa, cardamom, and almonds. I don't know what that third one is. It is intoxicating. And the sight of the two of us in the vanity mirror is picturesque and perfect. Can I help it if I feel a bit resentful that another person gets to do this for Luke every morning when I could have done it myself? No, I can't.
You're dismissed, Shroken. I have this. Go on then. You'll be summoned if you're needed.
There's a curious look, furrowed brows, before any sign that he cares is wiped from his expression.
Very well. If you need me, I'll be somewhere that isn't here.
You could have let the man do his job.
And I say there's no need for him. I can take care of you just fine, my prince. Just where are you off to this morning anyway?
I hate the thought of him leaving me. It feels like an eternity without him here in this lonely place that doesn't feel like a home quite yet. Although the mansion is really growing on me, slowly but surely. I want to be at his side, yet he fails to see such an obvious thing.
Business. Where else?
Why can't you just work from home? You can afford to, can't you?
Business needs a firm hand and a personal touch, Buttercup. Besides, I can't stay cooped up forever in here. I'll go mad.
Well, you'll come back home as soon as possible, won't you? It's so awfully lonely here without you, my prince.
I could. I don't see why I should, though. This hasn't been a problem before. You know I'll come home when I come home.
Just get home as soon as you can. For me, won't you?
No promises. It's business after all. I can't just stand up in the middle of the meeting and tell them the wife wants me home.
Then forget those peasants.
He stops and stares, looking perturbed for a moment before shaking his head. Is he feeling ill? That's more reason for him to stay here with me, doesn't it? Wait, what? That's more reason for him to stay here with me, doesn't it? I've never heard that. I thought it would be isn't it. I'm just being a good wife, worrying about my husband and all.
Be good, dear, and stay safe. There's been all sorts of dodgy characters seen about the property. I'll be leaving Johans with you, just in case you need anything, and to be on the safe side, okay?
But I don't need a valet. I need you here with me.
I'll be closing a big deal with a pharmaceutical company soon, if things go according to plan. Maybe, after that, I can take a breather for a bit.
No maybes. You have to promise me.
I only need him.
I'm going to be late, Hana. The longer this takes, the later I'll get home.
Fine. Shall I see you out?
If that's what you want.
At the front door, his valet waits, ready to accompany him for the rest of the day, when he's told to stay and attend to me. I still don't like it. It looks like he doesn't either. But I ignore him in favor of the one who really matters. I hold Luke's hand in mine and give him a deep kiss. It makes my heart flutter as I see the way his eyes close during our moment of passion. Parting for air, I can only smile.
Have a good day, my prince.
Right. Off I go.
I still don't want him to leave. He should just stay. Forever.
If you could let go of my hand, please, Hana.
It's just so hard to let go when I finally have him in my grasp. To watch him enter his car and leave pains me so. It leaves behind an aching, gaping hole like a hunger and a need. I'm not content until he returns.
If it fits you, breakfast is ready in the parlor, madam.
If anything, I'll be in a foul mood until he returns. Still here, man?
Leave and go practice your bloody sodomy elsewhere.
Peculiar.
When I turn around to hiss at him to leave, he's already gone, and that suits me just fine. I want to be alone without anyone bothering me. I want to be alone with myself and my thoughts, with only these halls as company. Too bad for you, there's a ghost. These damned halls will hold our memories. Just he and I. Yeah, I'm not entirely sure what that word means either. There's no one else I need but my prince. Not some cheeky servant who's just living it up because he's Luke's right-hand man. Rubbish like him deserve nothing. He deserves to be thrown and locked in the attic. Oh, okay. Without realizing, my feet have brought me in here. This is where Isabella found the letter. This empty, lifeless room disgusts me. The longer I stare at it, the harder it gets to breathe, as if the walls are closing in on me. Let's just go ahead and save, because I know there's probably going to be a QuickTime event here. Yet at the same time, it pulls me in. I hear a whispering, and curiosity get the better of me as I look under the bed. There, on the far corner, a loose floorboard. The wood, despite having swelled and warped over the years, is strangely familiar, comforting in its feel. Though it's not merely what my hand searches for as I reach for it. It takes quite an effort, but soon I am able to lift it. And inside, underneath the dust and cobwebs, lies a pendant, warm and familiar. Ooh! And I swear, if I just close my eyes, I can feel it beating in my palm. I feel a thrill, although I also feel like a thief for taking this. But it's mine. So without delay, I hide in our room. In front of the vanity, I see the way my eyes shine as I remove the clasps of my old necklace and put on this new one. What? It fits a lot better than the old one. I can feel it as it weighs on my chest.
Right where it belongs.
Boom. End of chapter. Ha 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 ha, okay. Alright. I think that's where we're gonna stop. That was really good ending. Holy crap. Oh boy, okay. Nice flow. Yeah, I think I'm going to try to aim for a chapter per stream if possible. Only took about 3.5 hours, and I like to try to stream between 3 and 4, so... Yeah. That's a great place to stop with that kind of cliffhanger, too. Oh boy. I know exactly what that pendant is, because of the thing I accidentally spoiled for myself. And that scene actually means even more to me now that I know what it is. If I had first seen that, I would have been very, very confused without looking into it. But now, I guess spoiling myself wasn't entirely bad. I'll just leave it at that. That was really good. Alright. So I'm gonna stop this. Thanks for coming out. Tomorrow, aiming for roughly the same time stream. Probably gonna just be doing whatever games. It right now it's just planned to be a random game night, like like Sunday was. Probably gonna start off with some Ori. So yeah, that's it. Later.